in phase one of the Gaza ceasefire. Germany's leader says it's wrong and dangerous to deny Ukraine's president is legitimate. Reacting to President Trump calling Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator, staying in office with elections on hold.
I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions of people have unnecessarily died.
The president has also blamed Ukraine for starting the war nearly 3 years after Russia invaded. Now, he may meet in the coming days with Russian leader Vladimir Putin discussing ending the war after U.S.-Russia talks earlier this week without Ukraine involved.
Meanwhile, at the Department of Defense, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is ordering the Pentagon to make plans for major budget cuts of their own. Hegseth writing in a memo, quote, "We must act urgently to revive the warrior ethos, rebuild our military, and reestablish deterrence."
That's Fox's Brooke Singman. The layoffs of recent federal hires considered probationary employees continues. Multiple reports have the IRS ready to let 6,000 workers go. And as DOJ, the Department of Government Efficiency, keeps working to slash spending amid Democrat legal challenges, President Trump says he's considering sending checks to us.
I love it. A 20% dividend, so to speak, for the money that we're saving.
The Senate plans vote today to confirm Kash Patel as FBI director. Democrats oppose him but can't block him. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless priced right. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Claim your new iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy by dialing pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3 on a cold. It's cold outside.
It really is.
Cold Thursday, but it is Thursday.
Single digits in the northern area.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yeah, I've got the whole report, the whole rundown of how cold it is into North Georgia. We're fortunate. Although I did get out of the car this morning and went, I got to zip up the jacket. I have not unzipped it as of yet.
Yeah, he sits as we start.
I am so cold right now,
wrapped up in a big old. What kind of coat is it? LL Bean?
I guess so. Yeah.
Warm LL. God, I love LL Beans. Good stuff. And that looks like. I mean, you could wear that to Alaska.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
I mean that thing is built for taking on cold weather like we're getting. And do we know how long this is supposed to last? This
I mean, it'll be till this afternoon.
But this weekend's supposed to be better. What? Hang on, we don't do weather every 6 minutes, but let me look at my weather app here.
Well, after you do this, you're gonna have to reissue it again at 6:10.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I'll tell you again at 6:10. So it's only gonna get to 33 today.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord,
it's frigid.
44 tomorrow, 51 Saturday, 54 Saturday, Sunday back to the 60s, and then next week back to the 60s. But I mean, that's too far out. They have no idea.
Can I tell you my encouraging thing of the day?
Yes, I love encouragement.
It was nice to pull into the parking deck despite how cold it is, and to see that JoJo's car was here.
Oh, you saw the Subaru?
Lesbo 1
yes.
was pulled right into the hangar deck.
and he's giving you the one in the air like he just won something.
And I was like, all right, good. He's feeling better because I know that he was so under the weather the last 48 hours. And he was feeling so bad the other day. Like I was like, hey, Joe, how you doing? He just goes, so as I asked him, I was like, how you feeling? He's like, much better.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Our buddy, Adam Baum, you know Adam, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Adam works with, he's in Athens doing country radio, but he was at Q100 for years.
Speaking of molesters.
Pop. What's that?
What? Huh?
What now?
No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
And then he does high school sports with our sister station, The Fan. And he posted, I see where he posted this morning. He was like, I've got a 104-degree temperature.
Oh, my God.
Because he's got the same thing I think Joey had, the flu.
It is incredible how many people have caught this. Now, I didn't get the flu Let's see. I think the last time was maybe like 6 years ago.
It's probably been somewhere in there, maybe even. I can't even tell you. I try to put a date on. I don't remember the last time.
This is how I know what little is known about it. I got the flu shot that year, and I ended up getting the flu, really badly. And the guys that I work with were making fun of me. They're like, "Oh, why didn't you get the flu shot? Why do you end up getting the flu?" And I kept trying to tell them, "No, I got it. Oh, by the way, it's a formulation based on what they expect to have come through
what they
this part of the hemisphere."
Yeah, they have no idea. So anyway,
I mean, there's no certainty. It's a guess.
And that's the thing. I've taken the flu shot, not gotten the flu, and I've not taken the flu shot, not got the flu. I can't remember the last time I've actually had the flu. So, if you want to take it, take it. If you don't. But
I'm not.
Just
doing
make
it
sure
anymore.
your gut health is healthy. I think that's the root of all evil, right there.
Do the little things that will help you get over illness. That's all.
That's it, man. I think that's where it's at.
I mean, look at it. JoJo's 23 years old. He had the flu, or he had whatever he had.
He said 25.
Scabies or whatever.
He wants his
But he
correct.
bounced back in 48 hours.
Yeah, he did. Like a good basketball. There we go. And then, Jared Payne, when was the last time that you struggled with this? Is your gut health good? Well, his
I hope so.
His microphone don't work. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. My mom was convinced she did too. My mom was convinced she had COVID in November before the shutdown. In what was the shutdown? March, I guess February, March.
Yeah, we had
2020. Yeah.
Basically, I think it was like March. I don't know, first week in March.
Yeah.
We shut down for that amount of time period, and then we started open back up in April, and that's when I was when I got my credit card statement. And I was like, why don't I have any charges for March? I was like, because I didn't do anything.
That's right. I said on my tail end. I couldn't because they wouldn't let me do anything. They told me how dangerous it was for completely healthy people.
That's why by April, I was in grandma killing mode.
Yeah, that's right. You're like,
we're getting back after this thing.
Right.
Here we go.
You're like a superhero.
They're like,
Grandma killing
you're not
superhero.
supposed to be out and about. I'm like, I'll show you.
I will. Dude, we never stopped. Alpharetta, it's almost like Alpharetta didn't participate. And we were out at
Alpharetta
dinner.
coming.
We were, coming
good old days was like, come on in and smoke. Let's go.
Let's go. And we went to a bunch of restaurants in Alpharetta every Friday night. And so it was good. And it's funny because Mama was anti-vax before anti-vax was cool. And if it's proven, she's in, but it's all these other things that she's just not sure about. And I've told this story many times that Mama got me kicked out of kindergarten twice. They told me the third time, or told her the third time, he doesn't come back unless he's got all of his vaccines or whatever.
Get all his measles shots.
That's right, and all that. And so Mama, of course, did not take the COVID vax. She was like, not no, but hell no. And she was convinced, though, that she had it. She'd gone on, I think she went on a gambling trip, maybe to Mississippi, over to Biloxi. And she thought she'd come back with it then. And she said it matched up everything they told me it was supposed to be. And then later when, family members had COVID or whatever they experienced, she's like, I had all that. I've had all of this. November, before everybody told us about it in February, March. She was convinced of it. And she was like, why do I need a vaccine? I've already had this.
We already had that circulating around the country in October.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so
exactly
no surprise
right.
she got sick with something, some strain.
My mama's not a well-educated woman, but she's one of the wisest women I've ever met, the wisest people I've ever met in my whole life. And she knew all about this. She was telling me then. And I, in the beginning, you just didn't know what to think. And but usually when Mama speaks, I listen, and sure enough, she turned out to be right again. It's just amazing the way
Thank
it
you,
works.
Mama.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Mama.
That's the truth. Mama, I love you, Mama. Immunized. He was immunized. That's right. Yeah, he used that. That was his code word. But it's funny because Mama was driving a school bus then.
Mama?
And they told Mama, if you don't get your vaccine, you can't drive a school bus. And she was like, okay, here's the keys. and let me tell you, there was already short bus drivers, and they're like,
take him back, ma'am.
Yeah, they're like, well, we're going to let you slide because we were just
kidding around.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to to test her, I suppose. Amen. And she was, I have a sister with special needs, so she has a passion for and a heart for special needs. And so she, from that point, went and drove a special needs bus because they didn't have anybody to do it. But that was the thing. They took her keys, and she was like, all right, then. And I
want that.
And then they knocked on the door and begged her to come back.
Here you go, ma'am.
She said, though, she was like
they actually made her another set of keys.
That's right. Yeah, probably because they don't want to touch the
just to double up. They were like, you know what? Here are your keys, and by the way, we made an extra set of keys because we need you back so badly.
That's right. And sure enough, they did. They handed her right back over the keys, and she said, I'm not taking your vaccine. I'm not. So let's make that, just be clear about it. I just want you to know, just be clear that I'm not doing this. And then the next year, they tried the whole thing, and she's like, I already told you. She was just holding them out, like, if you want them, here they are.
You're welcome to have them.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what this means.
Right? You know what the rules are. And it's funny that they allowed that to slide.
I mean, I guess I feel the same way about, like, when I'm at home. There's certain things where I know if I come down hard on my wife on something, that's the end of dinner.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
So there are times where I just say, just going to let it go.
That's right. That's a pick your battles.
Mama keep the keys.
That's right.
I get to have dinner.
That's right. Exactly, dude.
Pick the battle.
Isn't that life, though, really?
Oh, yeah. It's a series of trade-offs.
Yeah, picking your battles. Like, what are you willing to go to the mat for?
Yep.
And these days, I mean, aside from my wife and son, there's not a lot.
There's not a lot of things I'll go to the mat for outside of a handful of things politically where I will get exasperated, I will point them out, and then I move on from there.
That's right. Yeah. But I think, I don't know, I think that's the way the most Americans feel. Like, I just want to live, and you do your thing, and I'm just going to take care of me, and you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, and we're all good.
Do you think Mama, like, puts on the movie Roadhouse and just kind of
dreams about Patrick Swayze? Yes, probably.
I was about to say a different scenario or whatever, but the whole idea, like, stranger comes to town, hooks up with me being Mama, and then everything after he battles the forces of evil works out well.
Yeah, I think probably so. Yeah. If not, then I think she probably hopes that happens at some point. Who doesn't? It's been a while.
He's got abs and he likes practicing karate out in the yard
with his shirt off.
Could you imagine if you pulled in to Mama's house and there's like a 20-year-old dude in the front yard practicing?
Some people would be alarmed by that. I would be encouraged by it. I'd be like, good for Mama. Good for her. She's lived a good life. She's worked hard. I mean,
he's half your age. He's like, hello, son.
Exactly. And I'll be like, hey, man, just don't hit me with those abs, all right? Don't give me those karate chops. Don't give me that. I don't want none of that. But you just make sure you're good to Mama. And she cooks a hellacious gravy and biscuits. So you're going to be set, man. You ain't going to have those abs long, but you're going to be set. That's right. As long as he's respectful, takes care of Mama, I'm good. Man, it doesn't matter to me. That's why I was
so messed up. As long as he takes care of Mama good, we're good.
What more can you ask for, Los?
You're right. No, I'm with you.
It's hard to argue. I can't. If she's attracted a 20-year-old with abs and does karate, good for her.
I can't wait for you to call me. This is going to be, I don't know, 6 months, a year from now. We'll be like, joking around. We'll knock. Yeah.
You ain't gonna believe.
You ain't gonna believe what's in front of Mama's house.
You ain't gonna believe this. Mama has a man that looks like Patrick Swayze with the shirt off, strong abs, doing karate in the front yard. She's making him gravy and biscuits for lunch. Just the impossible happens.
Dumbest show in America. But yes.
That's right.
You won't believe that. He's got T-tops.
That's right. It has to be a 77 Trans Am.
He never wears a shirt.
It's a bandit car. And, man, he has got he's got the best backside you've ever seen, Los. It's amazing. Yes, absolutely. Strong mullet. Strong, feathered on top. Business up front, party in the rear. There you go. Anyway. And speaking of funny, this woman made me laugh so hard. And she was talking about Donald Trump. She's like, you know what? I cannot believe this man is keeping every promise that he's made to us. Listen to this.
I cannot believe that President Trump is keeping all his promises. Like, I really thought that, like, he was going to bullshit a little bit. I mean, just a little bit. He ain't bullshit. I am so overwhelmed on how wonderful he is busting in the door. And on top of that, you know what? This loves us. You know what? He's got some eggs coming in, y'all. He got eggs coming in, y'all. He's having some eggs imported, okay? He's keeping his promises and he's doing a little extra. But I think that's awesome. Big Daddy taking care of his babies. Oh, I's a Trump baby. Yes, I am.
Wow.
That could be Mama. That could be Mama right there. That could be my Mama right there.
Mama.
That's Mama. At least that's her neighbor, or a friend. I'm telling you. Isn't it funny, though? That woman is not supposed to like Trump, dude. We've been told for years that woman right there, as a black woman, she could never vote for Trump. She could never like Trump. And she does. Boy, talking about your all-time backfires. When they're like, we're going to lock him up. We're going to give him a mugshot. It's going to be the downfall of the Trump empire. It's all going away here in Atlanta, Georgia. And all they did was start a fire that they couldn't put out.
What I didn't anticipate was how much that everyday common Americans, and by the way, if you're listening to the show, you are uncommon. You are the 1%. You are the people that are plugged into what's going on politically. It is the other group of people that I did not expect them to not only just kind of fall in line with Donald Trump, but fall in love with Donald Trump. Yeah. You know, it's different when it's different when it's us, because we're doing this on a regular basis and we talk about it. We don't, worship at the altar of Trump. At the same time, I think he's the right man for this right time in American history.
Yeah.
But to hear these other people that have decided, I've been told I have to hate this person for the better part of 5 years, and they're calling him daddy.
Yeah. I just liked her. I just thought she was great.
Yeah,
she's just
awesome.
A sweet woman. You could, when I found that video, when I saw that little video, I was just like, man, she's cool. I like her. I could have pulled 50 of those.
She appreciates the honesty aspect.
Yeah.
And we have talked about it how, yes, there's sometimes when Trump is too honest, like where he just lays out what's going to happen.
Like with the whole Zelensky thing. We'll get to that a little later.
But she's appreciating the fact that there's a politician in office that actually is telling her and telegraphing to her what he plans to do.
I's a Trump baby. Yes, I am.
God bless her. It's so great. When is the last time she actually had a politician tell her the truth? That's probably the bigger question.
Oh, it's got to be huge.
Never. I never. I can't think of a time.
Well, as she's pointing out, she is falling in favor with somebody because she feels like you were saying things that the regular politician will not do.
I bet she picked up on something you laid down, Los. Make America truthful again.
Truthful.
She appreciates the truth.
Be honest with me. That's all.
The truth matters. I say that all the time because I believe it. And I think everybody believes, whether they vocalize it like that or not, they believe it too. When you're told the truth, it matters to you. And when you're told stories, that pisses you off, and it doesn't. That sets you on a different path. And we've not had anybody be honest in Washington, D.C., in the better part of, 30 years? 40 years? Getting close to 40 years? Over 40 years, since Reagan, maybe.
I mean, I was the one when we had Inauguration Day, and I was like, just give me truthfulness. Just try and do your very best to be truthful. Granted, CIA, FBI, and all of our criminal organizations, they tend to not exactly explain everything they're doing in the interest of national security. I get that.
Yeah,
that's how they go.
Yeah,
sometimes they have to be that way.
I get it.
But the more truth and honesty that you have with the American people, we went through a period of time where for 4 years, we don't trust the government at all. Libertarians don't do it. There's a large amount of Democrats that don't, and obviously we don't either. All right, what happens when you start to rebuild trust? And like that woman is a perfect example of, as long as it's Trump, I trust them.
Because she's got no reason not to. He's not said anything that he hasn't backed up. And look, in the first term, you could say he said a lot of things that he wasn't able to get done. This time, because he was able to put people in place that he trusts to carry out what he believes will make America a stronger country again, they're able to do it and be honest. The first time around, he didn't have that.
No. I mean, there was so much infighting anyway.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
This is so much stronger of a group.
Yeah. I love it, man. And I love her. If you see videos like that, share them with us at Tug Coward, at Front Office Los on social media, because it is great to see people just happy. And we talked about this yesterday on the show, how Rasmussen has the people that live in the United States happier than they've ever been in history. It's amazing what's happening. And you just see people having hope for the future. Actual hope and actual change, not just a slogan.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Imagine that. Real change.
I know, right?
Real hope.
When we continue on Extra 106.3, the U.S. sitting down with Russia. Europeans and Zelensky are left out of this conversation. And they ain't real happy about it, but they'll have to get glad in the same shoes they got mad in. The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
Here are the Democrats trying to pretend they're all together, chanting about their new song to take over America again.
Which side are you on?
Which side
are you on?
The side of your own. That's the Democrat Party.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Are you concerned about securing your family's future and assets? Look no further than Nelson Elder Care Law. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we offer absolute assurance and peace of mind through our comprehensive asset protection services. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com to explore how we can safeguard your legacy and provide tailored solutions for your family's well-being.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans has an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
After more than a year of war, terror, and pain in Israel, there is still a great demand for basic humanitarian aid. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews has supported and continues to support those in the Holy Land still facing the lingering horrors of war and those who are in desperate need right now. Your gift today will provide critically needed aid to communities in the north and south devastated by the ongoing war. Your generous donation will deliver help to those in need, including evacuees and refugees from war-torn areas, first responders, volunteers, wounded soldiers, elderly Holocaust survivors, families who have lost everything. You can give hope during a time of great uncertainty. I urge you, please give a gift to bless Israel and her people by visiting supportifcj.org. That's one word, supportifcj.org, or call 888-488-IFCJ, 888-488-IFCJ, 888-488-4325.
Attention warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Extra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. Here are your headlines for Thursday, February 20th. A cold weather advisory is in effect until 10 a.m. for all of North Georgia. Temperatures are currently sitting in the teens and the 20s, but wind chills will feel as if we are in the single digits across northern Georgia. Atlanta-based Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 to every passenger on board a flight that crashed. Landed in Toronto earlier this week. ABC News has learned and is reporting the flight, which left Minneapolis for Toronto, had 80 people on board and all were evacuated. Some 76 people and passengers and 4 crew members in total were on the flight. Georgia parents should get a little bit more help with child care costs under a bill that passed the state Senate on Wednesday. Senate Bill 89 would create a new child care income tax credit and expand some existing credits. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
So the U.S. and Russia are negotiating. They're interested in ending this war, and as a matter of fact, they've agreed to the goal that we will end this war in their meeting in Saudi Arabia. Both embassies are going to put together a high-level team, whatever that means. I assume, just people high-level in the government to move forward and make the decisions. And this will happen. The Ukrainians and the Europeans will be brought into the conversation. They are not now, which is quite humorous, especially if you've been following this for 3 years, knowing that Zelensky canceled his trip. He was supposed to join in anyway, and he canceled his trip to meet up with Donald Trump. He was already in the Middle East, but he said, nope, I'm going to put my foot down. I am not going to accept anything that is not that I don't have say in. And I can't help but think about this. Look, you don't get to wag the dog anymore. You've been able to do that for 3 years. Joe Biden, anytime you raised your voice, Joe Biden was immediately responding, immediately putting more and more of American tax dollars in a package to send to you. And I think when Zelensky said, we wouldn't survive without the U.S., he realizes he's in no position to push back. And it's almost like when you talk back to your daddy the first time and daddy puts you right back in your place as a youngster. That's what's happening with Vladimir Zelensky right now. He's raising his voice, and he's forgotten daddy's home.
This really does have the feel of the globalists versus the nationalists. I've told you the biggest 2 nationalist leaders in this world, and they're completely different people, are Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. And they're the ones that are essentially getting together this through proxies. Mm-hmm. They're having their people get together. It doesn't matter what Zelensky and the Ukrainians want. Ultimately, it's just a matter of the Russians no longer using any kind of aggression against them. Zelensky can say whatever he feels like. You're like my 10-year-old daughter. You can say what you want about dinner or your room or anything else, but you live under my roof and with my money.
And we'll take it into consideration.
It'll be taken under advisement. In fact, I will tell you, I duly noted, taken under advisement, but I'm going to do what I want to do, and that is what daddy, and he is your daddy, this is what he's doing in Saudi Arabia through his proxies.
Yes.
Going to work with the Russians to figure this out. Zelensky can complain all he wants about it, but they don't exist, and he's not even in power. In fact, he'll be voted out of power.
He's got a 4% approval rate.
Soon as they allow elections to happen again, he'll be voted out of power.
Which Trump has already said they need to hold.
That was part of the discussion. The Russians actually asked for it because they recognize Zelensky is a clown who wants to continue this fight. The Russians are sitting back saying, all right, listen, we got what we wanted. NATO's not going to be part of this. NATO's not going to be in Ukraine. Okay.
Which was the big...
Which was their biggest
and the
issue in the biolabs. Yeah. The biolabs and the whole idea of Ukraine becoming a NATO country. Those were the 2 giant sticking points, along with taking back over the Russian areas of Ukraine.
If you look at social media at all, which everybody does, I know, you've seen, especially on the liberal side, well, they can't hold elections right now. They're in a war. and it got me to thinking about it. I was like, well, didn't the U.S. hold elections during the Civil War?
Yes, we did.
So don't come with me to crying poor. Do what's right.
Now, we did, and this is the one argument, because they've had martial law there. We did suspend the rights of habeas corpus during the Civil War, but we also maintained elections.
That's right.
So, yes, we did decide that the rights that you're typically used to were going to be suspended on a momentary basis. When it comes to Ukraine, they haven't had an election in 3 years.
Reckon why?
Otherwise, their guy would probably be voted out. Remember, the one, your previous president, we did this as a story time, that we helped engineer a coup through the use of the CIA and USAID. It's not an aid organization. It's for international development. USAID is for international development. It's not an aid organization. We ended up deposing the previous president who wanted the same deal that we're talking about right now. We're the ones who plugged this in because we thought it was going to be more advantageous to be anti-Russian and to also be able to continue doing the work we wanted to do in the region with the biolabs and the minerals and everything else.
And ultimately, I love the fact that Donald Trump is not afraid to say, we need to get something in return.
Yes, we've given you a whole lot of treasure. You're paying us back.
You're absolutely right. And I agree with that 100%. That's exactly what I want to see. If it's something that we need from Ukraine, they better be ready to serve it up. Now, of course, Zelensky is pushing back on this. I know we're not giving you these rare earth minerals. Now's not the time to stomp, the comparison to your daughter, to stomp your feet and walk to your room.
You are not in charge here.
And you're not even symbolically in charge that I can tell.
You, and the fun part is this, you're similar to Donald Trump, but without the power.
Yeah, that's right.
Donald Trump happens to be the most powerful man in the world as a former reality TV star. You're a reality TV star with no backing and no money and no ability to defend yourself without our help.
And Zelensky's like, we're not involved with the peace deals.
Pretty much Guy Fieri.
Right.
It's cute hair,
right.
Kind of fun, a little bit likable, no power.
You're on Dancing with the Stars Ukraine or something like that, or some TV show.
What do you really got here?
Nothing. They have nothing. And the Europeans have no room to talk because for 3 years they've done nothing. They've reduced all of their military. Each country has reduced the size of their militaries. And now all of a sudden, the folks at NATO, with the threat of Donald Trump saying, look, we'll pull out of NATO. They're like, well, we're definitely going to. He's right. We need to increase our military sizes for each country. Yeah, you think? Now's the time? You heard Pete Hegseth say, don't count on the Americans to come to your aid because you've done nothing to protect yourself.
There is, I always talk about this, big picture view. Like when we kind of zoom out from whatever the scenario is and take a lay of the land, it might be that Europe is changing in a way that is going contrarian to American values. And so we're looking at them saying, you've been a traditional ally of the West. You've been a free society. But what happens when you have a society that gives up freedom and doesn't consider it important anymore?
J.D. Vance, what his whole speech was about.
That was his whole speech, was that you all have left the arena of ideas when it comes to freedom. So what do we have in common with you anymore?
I can't think of much.
I mean, if you don't allow the ability to pray within your home,
that's a thought crime. It's labeled a thought crime.
Then what are we talking about? How are we then at all kissing cousins with these people? We're not anymore.
No, that's right. We cherish and value freedom.
They failed. They fell apart.
And will continue to march down that path. Now, I will say that the Europeans, the actual citizens of all of those countries in Europe, seem to be trending in the direction the United States is trending in. And that's why these European leaders are so terrified.
And you got to get rid of them.
Exactly right. And I hope they have the ability to.
Start with Germany.
You have to. The biggest nation, the biggest economic powerhouse in Europe, the biggest of all the puny militaries, but the biggest of the militaries. That's where it has to start, and hopefully it will continue and things will change. I hope those people are willing to sacrifice and fight, because we got called a lot of names. And I don't know that we sacrificed necessarily, but we got called lots of ugly names. We got told that we shouldn't be able to bank where we want to bank because we believe a certain way. Just all the restrictions that the Democrats and the leftists would love to put on you. Like, we fought through that. We were strong enough to fight through it and got to the point where we don't care what you think. Yes, we voted for Donald Trump. I hope Europe can do that too.
there's the moment where I put on the historical hat, and I think about, part of the reason why my grandfather was sent to Normandy and sent to Omaha Beach was in the interest of freedom. Was the French people loved freedom because they had a history. They had 200 years of here's what freedom is to us. The British, same thing. By the time that Germany was cut in half and it was the West Germans loved their freedom. These Germans were like, can you please make us free? That's the history of Europe. And to see their leadership go in a direction that is anti the very basis of freedom, speech. It's different when you say, I should be able to carry a gun. Okay, it's part of what we have our rights here in this country. But at the simplest point, what are you allowed to say? That's a basic freedom, and that is something that they are not allowing there anymore.
It's the most important freedom.
It is. It's the basis of all. It's a foundational element of freedom.
If you don't have that one, you don't have any others.
I'm free to think what I want or say what I want.
Imagine thinking.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, in Europe, that's
wild. We don't have anything in common with them anymore, if that's the case.
Thought crime sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound real.
It's Minority Report.
That's right.
You're going to do something in the future. We're arresting you now.
It's right, just to get ahead of it. It's nuts. And then you had the clowns on CNN talking about how it's a mistake not to include Ukraine in this meeting about ending the war. And Representative Tim Burchett, he was like, what? For the last 3.5 years, nobody's attempted to negotiate with Russia. Nobody. And now all of a sudden someone is. And people are all like, well, wait, I need to be a part. I'm an important part of this.
Should have done it 3 years ago, brother.
How about you should have done it when it mattered? Now that it's too late and you're being excluded, don't be mad. Don't stomp your feet and walk to your room. Wait your turn.
This is a meat grinder. The battle lines have not significantly changed, with the exception of there's a northern incursion every now and then by the Ukrainians. But I can still go back on Twitter. It's been 1.5 years, 2 years since I was like, this war is over. The Ukrainians have lost. What do you mean the Ukrainians have lost? What do you mean? It's like, they're giving up territory. Here's how it all ends. We have seen needless death and sacrifice going on for the better part of 2.5 years because we are basically now in trench warfare and nothing has changed.
The most important things are those lives, without a doubt. But for the American people, what have they given up? $200 billion plus, which half can't even be accounted for. That's what the Americans have given up. The Americans deserve to end this so we don't have to support it anymore. And all of those people, which is the most important thing, stop dying. You brought up something that was really good this morning when we were talking about how many people have died in Ukraine, and it's in the hundreds of thousands. And you talked about how awful Vietnam was, and that was 50,000. And then how terrible that the war in Afghanistan was, and it's 2,500. So those are American lives that are sacrificed, and I don't have enough good things and honor to shower upon them. But those are minuscule numbers in comparison to what have died in Russia and Ukraine during this war. It's friggin' tough, man. And we'll continue this conversation later in the show. Because Trump, as you know, has called Zelensky a dictator, and he's not wrong. When we continue, the National Collegiate Athletic Association is thumbing their nose at Trump. Buckle up, because that's not going to turn out well. It never does. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Atlanta Braves held their first full squad workout yesterday in Cool Today Park down in Northport, Florida. Manager Brian Snicker held the team's first official team meeting of the year, setting expectations for spring training. The Braves will play their first game on Saturday against the Twins at 1:05. And the Atlanta Hawks take on the Orlando Magic tonight in State Farm Arena at 7. The Hawks will be without Larry Nance Jr. and Vic Krejci, with Trey Young listed as a game-time decision. And the Magic will not have Jalen Suggs. Atlanta sits a half a game behind Orlando for 7th in the Eastern Conference with a 26-29 record. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
A minute ago, Los and I were talking about how stinking cold it is outside, and I pulled up the weather app, and it shows that it is 25 degrees right now. It's going to be a high of 33 degrees.
Where are we? When did this become Antarctica? What is going on? This winter blast that we're having is going to last for the rest of the week, and then through the weekend, and then next week it'll be some better, up in the 60s again. But you got to be prepared for this, because we were just talking with Jeray, our new board op, Jerry Payne. We call him Jeray. How many more faux springs do we get? How many more last blasts of winter do we get before we get to April and spring? So whatever you need to do is fine by me. But if I can recommend something to you, Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They're doing the 28th annual Winter White Sale. 78 years they've been keeping your home safe, comfortable, and energy efficient. Right now, you can make your home healthier with Carrier systems that provide fresh, allergen-free air with proper ventilation. They do it at Central Heating and Air Conditioning, and you get $2,000 off Carrier rebates. Best in the business, working with the best in the business at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Central's Winter White Sale. CentralHeat.com is the website. 770-GET-HEAT. Turn to your Atlanta Carrier experts.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
The EQE electrifies the essence of Mercedes-Benz values. Leadership in user-friendly technology and earth-friendlier power. Satisfaction for drivers and passengers alike. And the seamless confluence of craftsmanship and innovation that make the iconic grille stars shine. Get an exceptional offer on the all-electric 2024 Mercedes-Benz EQE 350 sedan. Just $539 per month for 36 months with $66.83 due at signing. Exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through February 28th, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
The Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Download that thing today, wherever you get your apps. Search for XTRA 106.3 FM Atlanta. Listen that way. Watch on the YouTube channel. Just search for XTRA 106.3. Easy to listen either way. Very convenient. Either way you want to do it. Or just the old school way. 106.3 FM, 12:30 a.m. And you're locked into the most common sense discussion that you'll find on the radio in Atlanta, Georgia, and maybe even around the world. Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Today is the beginning of the Georgia National Fair. What am I saying? Georgia National Fair. Georgia National Rodeo and Stock Show. Down in Perry, Georgia. Starts today and runs through Sunday. Noon Sunday. All the livestock got to be out of the barns.
How do you plan to celebrate?
Buddy, I'd love to go down there. We're actually going to South Carolina to see my son Jacob play ball in Union, South Carolina.
We're headed to Orlando, Florida for a tournament. So, yeah, same thing.
I would love to go, but we're chasing kids. You think chasing kids is over when they graduate high school and go off to college, and your daughter or have a few years before they get to that point. But then you start chasing them when they're in college. It's like nothing has changed. We're still traveling, hours and hours and hours.
Still
to go.
Heading out of town every weekend.
I'm still paying more than I expect or think I should have to watch my own kid play ball.
Yeah, we're in that boat where with the trip to Orlando, we're already planning on, all right, so what's the hotel? All right, well, put the hotel down. Okay, what are we doing with the travel? Okay, that's how it's going to be. So, yeah, but it's, again, these times are fleeting, so let's just enjoy them.
Yes, exactly right. And that is something we encourage you to do, too, and take Xtra 106.3 along with you and listen on the road trips. Because that's the other thing. If you miss any of the show, you go back and listen on the app, and that can be your podcast that you listen to.
Just like JoJo.
That's exactly right.
JoJo's listening back to make sure he knows what he missed yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. And he was laughing really, really hard. I could hear, we were in a soundproof room, and I could hear him laughing through the walls. But it happens occasionally like that, and that's what we hope to do because the topics are oftentimes really heavy, and we try to
a lot of stuff to smile about, though.
Yes, absolutely, especially right now. The NCAA, they are thumbing their nose, Los. They know better. They can they'll make the decisions. They'll work around these Trump decisions protecting women's sports. We don't want to do that.
These people are low down, man.
Dirty.
Like, I would have imagined that the NCAA would take a presidential executive order, which was signed last week, week before, that was guaranteeing that when it comes to the executive order that women would participate in pro, collegiate, amateur sports, and that's how it was going to be. The NCAA made a change to their bylaws. It's like, okay, cool. Let's see if they're being compliant with an executive order. Okay, so here's the bylaw. And this came actually from Sage Steele, who's one of our favorites.
God, I love her. She's the best.
NCAA women's team. It says, student athlete assigned male at birth. Competition. A student athlete assigned male at birth may not compete on a women's team. Okay, so that's part of what it is. But here's the aha moment. All right?
Where's the spoon?
Practice. A student athlete assigned male at birth may practice on the team consistent with their gender identity and receive all other benefits applicable to the student athlete who are otherwise eligible for practice.
So you can practice and take scholarship away.
Still be on the team.
But just not compete in the actual games.
Right.
What does that accomplish? If you're the NCAA, what does that accomplish? What's the wisdom here? Help me understand their thought process because I don't.
If I'm being benevolent, I would say that perhaps there's somebody who identifies as female and they can serve a role on the team as a practice squad member. Okay, that's the best I can do. Outside of that, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, none of it adds up. But there's something in there. There's some workaround that they're going to use, and we won't see it until it's like you got to, what was it Dancy said, you got to pass it to know what's inside it. So we don't see what they're trying to do. We know they're trying to do something. We just don't see it. And then at some point, it's going to pop up on a floor in a game, and they're going to say, well, no, here's how we got around it, or here's how this is legal or okay.
The NCAA was very clear, too, about hormone treatment, about those people that decide I'm going to start taking a different hormone in order to remake my body. For instance, the NCAA said, competition, a student athlete assigned female at birth who has begun hormone therapy, e.g. testosterone, may not compete on a women's stage. So I'm like, good, like that makes sense. Because I'd be very bothered if there was a 19-year-old girl who started taking testosterone and then thought, hey, I'm going to play amongst all the rest of the women.
Yeah.
So that,
taking steroids.
But yet they have still carved out a place for practice time so that you can be on the team. Part of this entire argument is it's not that we're trying to be exclusionary. It's that it makes it uncomfortable for young women to have to be undressed in front of young men in a locker room, even if they're like, hey, my name's Barbara. Yeah, but Barbara still has a penis.
Yes.
It makes it weird.
And Riley Greens has spoken about that many times with the interaction with Leah Thomas.
Yeah, Leah Thomas.
Whatever.
Yep.
That
fully intact male.
That's exactly right.
As they put it.
Every one of the girls on the swim team were uncomfortable. And I would imagine, and I don't have girls, but I can only say if my wife were in there, I would not be okay with that. And she wouldn't either. And she would expect me, as her husband, to stand up for her.
Considering that we have safe places on college campuses.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Why can't we just have the locker room as a safe place for women? What is wrong with that?
Because they're going to argue that Leah Thomas, fully intact male, is a woman. That's their argument. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what they're going to argue. That's why they're going to say, no, Leah Thomas gets in the safe space too. That's what they're going to come at you with. And it doesn't have to add up. The math doesn't have to work out. It doesn't have to make sense. And yet they're still going to do it.
But that is what bothered me when it came to the NCAA. I was like, you got a presidential executive order that we have 80% of the country that's like, hell yes, let's go this way. And yet the NCAA cuts out a different set of rules to make sure that if you're a man, biologically you're a man, you can still participate in female sports. You just can't compete.
And I fully expect, dude, they're going to find a workaround on that too. They're working too hard to make that argument. Yeah. Quietly make that argument. That way, later down the road, they're going to have an answer for I'm telling you, I believe with all that in me, the NCAA is working on something to get around this. And that's just the first. That's just the opening salvo.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm right there when it comes to, like, I think about this. You've got Sweet Clean JoJo.
Mm-hmm.
And Sweet Clean JoJo, if he decides that he wants to transition and then start playing sports against women.
Josephine Virgin.
Josephine Virgin. They are going to get away with it for a while. And it's supposed to end when it enters into college sports. The problem being is that if Josephine Virgin is so good at what he does, there's a scholarship attached to it. Now, it might just be a scholarship attached to it to give the girls a good look during the week. Like, that was part of what happened. Like, Stetson Bennett was brought back here as a Georgia quarterback because they're like, he's a quality backup and he gives the defense, he challenges them. Let's bring him back.
In practice, yeah.
And then he ended up obviously starting and going on to 2 national championships.
But I see the connection you're making.
The problem ends up being, it's like, what opportunity was taken by Josephine Virgin versus a regular woman who is now no longer getting the scholarship opportunity.
Yeah, which is not fair. And I hear them yelling about, and look, life's not fair, and I get that. But it's always about fairness, right? They're always telling you, well, that's not fair. They don't pay their fair share. There's always some fair attached to it, except when we're taking opportunities away from young women trying to play ball. And then doesn't matter about what's fair.
I talk about it all the time with my daughters. I go, fair is a construct.
And it is, and I get that. But my point is, that's what they always yell. And then when it comes to something that's not fair, they act like it's not happening.
But there is something different when you're talking about an unlevel playing field. For instance, if it came down to Tug Cowart versus someone who decided he's going to compete for your job, but let's just say, for instance, there's special needs. Okay, this is not fair.
Mm-hmm.
This is a special needs person versus a person who does not have a special needs situation. These are not on the same playing field.
Dude.
Women and men, as much as they're different and they accelerate at what they're good at, this is not a level playing field.
Of course it's not.
It doesn't mean that one sex is better than the other. All it means is that when it comes to competition athletics, these people have an advantage over the other. If we had a national birthing championship,
women would win.
The women are going to win. If we had a national think rationally contest, women are going to win.
That's right.
Except like once a week out of a month. But still, I mean, they're not going to get hot-headed the way we are.
That's
We're geared towards this stuff. So to suddenly have the NCAA just deciding to be like, okay, we're just going to sidestep this rule.
It boils down to, from what I took away from you, is there is a difference between boys and girls and men and women. That's what
Strange,
I took away. Yeah, it's an odd concept. This is this newfangled way of thinking that there's a difference in men and women and boys and girls. Seems like something that's been around forever and not just something that we just physically came up with this morning. But I guess the NCAA sees it different. RFK running mate, former RFK running mate, Nicole Shanahan, she said she's tired of being lied to. I find this fascinating. We'll talk about it after the Fox News update on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
Apparently, it's true. The facts are, 1, China sends fentanyl to Mexico. Fact number 2, there are thousands of Chinese nationals working in factories in Mexico, turning the fentanyl into pills. Fact number 3, the pills are then smuggled into America to poison us. How is it possible that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is not all along the border, and how come our U.S. military is not bombing all those factories? If I were president of the United States, they'd be blown up. It'd be like that freaking Harrison Ford movie where you get the undercover boys and you go wipe them off the freaking face of the earth and they suffer the consequence. Patriot game.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Experience luxury like never before behind the wheel of a brand new Cadillac from Jim Ellis Cadillac.
From the iconic Escalade to the innovative electric Lyric, Jim Ellis Cadillac offers the models you know and love, along with the latest in luxury EVs.
And the buying experience just as luxurious as the Cadillac name itself. With great prices, a great selection, and a team of knowledgeable sales associates, you'll love shopping at their showroom conveniently located on Peachtree Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Prefer to shop from home? Visit JimEllisCadillac.com, where you can browse all the latest offers and even start or complete your entire purchase online with the Jim Ellis Expressway.
Want to try before you buy? Schedule an at-home test drive and enjoy the convenience of home vehicle delivery. Luxury is waiting. Experience it today at Jim Ellis Cadillac. Jim Ellis Cadillac, where you can always expect the best.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Real Success. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at ourrealsuccess.com.
Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses and acquiring rental properties right here in Atlanta? We're offering a handful of motivated individuals the opportunity to attend our workshop right here in Atlanta for free. That's right. We'll give you 2 free tickets when you text FLIP to 64,000. Atlanta is the perfect market to flip houses and build rental income. Discover the simple steps developed by Joe Arias, one of real estate's greatest rags to riches stories. You'll learn to flip properties and secure rental properties without using your own money and in your spare time. Don't miss this opportunity. Come to a complimentary live 2-hour workshop next week right here in Atlanta and learn how to start making money flipping homes and building long-term wealth with rental properties. To get 2 free tickets, text FLIP to 64,000. Text in the next 10 minutes, and registrants will also receive a free copy of our Funding for Deals guide. Text FLIP to 64,000 for 2 complimentary tickets. Text FLIP to 64,000.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
Hamas hands over more hostages. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
And there were cheers in the crowd in Gaza as Hamas handed over to the Red Cross 4 coffins to be given to Israel containing the bodies of hostages the militants claim were killed in Israeli airstrikes, including a mother and her 2 young children.
It comes more than 500 days after the horrific attack in Israel on October 7th, 2023. The official identification process of the 4 slain Israelis is expected to take several hours. On Saturday, Hamas is expected to release 6 living hostages.
That's Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. President Trump may meet with Russia's leader Vladimir Putin later this month, days after U.S. talks with Russia to end the war in Ukraine that Ukraine was not invited to. President Volodymyr Zelensky objected to that. President Trump calls him a dictator.
He refuses to have elections, is low in the real Ukrainian polls. I mean, how can you be high with every city is being demolished? It's hard to be high. Somebody said, oh, no, his polls are good. Give me a break.
And though Russia invaded Ukraine, the president has suggested, like Putin, that Ukraine started it. Zelensky says President Trump is living in a Russian disinformation space. The FBI may get a new director today. The Senate expected to confirm Kash Patel, who Democrats oppose, but Republicans can outvote them. And in the Trump administration push to slash federal spending considered waste, fraud, or abuse, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner, just told Fox.
And we will cut $4 million in DEI-focused contracts. This is money that should go to serve the American people.
And more layoffs are coming, targeting probationary federal employees recently hired. Multiple reports have the IRS ready to cut 6,000 jobs. And Fox's Brooke Singman reports.
President Trump is on board with the idea of sending out dividend checks to taxpayers using the money DOJ has saved.
By going after the waste, fraud, and abuse and all of the other things that are happening, I think it's a great idea.
One idea is to send $5,000 checks to us. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless priced right. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Claim your new iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy by dialing pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
This is Tucker Carlson. You're listening to Atlanta's only conservative talk station, Xtra 106.3, worldwide on the Xtra app.
Tug and Los on the Morning Xtra until 10. Thank you for being here. I remember bringing this up when Trump first started talking about giving people this 8-month window where they're going to pay them, the federal employees that can just raise their hand. You pay me for 8 months, and I'm out. I resign. And, I mean, I thought that was a pretty good gig. If I was offered that, I love my job, and if I were offered that, I'd have to really consider it.
You've talked about this for now weeks, that's pretty generous.
And I think it is. And I was reading that most people would take a similar buyout for $50,000 or less. In this comes from the polling company. It's SWN Digital. That's all they do is these digital polls, whatever. But they asked 2,000 people, and just randomly, it had nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with the buyouts. It was just like, if you could take off, what would you do? Like, how much would it take you to quit your job and travel the world? That's actually how they got to it. And the average American, at least in these 2,000 people they asked, they said if I had $288,000, I would quit my job and travel the world. I would take my family and we would just go on a whirlwind world tour, for ever how long the money lasted. And then they went on to ask people, what would be the lowest that you would take to quit your job? And they said $50,000. So frame that against what these people probably are making, I bet $100,000
Probably,
least.
yeah, 6 figures with quite a few of them.
And 8 months of that? And then that's probably even more than 50,000.
Roughly more than that, yeah.
I would, at least a little bit more. So it's not that far off to think that most people would consider that. And right now, I think we're up to, what is it, 85,000 that have agreed to it? Is that the number?
I think at this point, we were at like 60 last week.
It stood out to me because while these aren't related at all, it's just the fact that people, I think, feel the exact same way I do. If someone presents you with 8 months of not doing anything and paying you, covering your dental and your medical, you'd be hard-pressed not to at least entertain it. And it shows right there.
We are supposed to get another 6,000 IRS employees that are going away as of today. We'll see what happens, yes, as you rub your hands together. This is the only time that I can recall in modern American history where every single federal employee who's being terminated were like, sorry? But it's not really a sincere sorry. It's just kind of like
That reminds me
It's too bad.
Of something I was watching on Twitter, and let's see if I can find it again quickly. I didn't expect to go back to it.
By Twitter, he means Pornhub.
Yes, X. This is right. Triple X Twitter.
That's what he's into.
No, definitely not. But and I can't find it now. But it was
because you're on Twitter.
That's right. I've gone to the wrong place. Don't worry, you're not finding what you're looking for. No, these were guys that were working on the pipelines before. When before Biden shut it all down. And remember, they told them, go find you a green job.
These were jobs that were paying for these pipeline workers on average was $75,000, and you had 14,000 people working on the XL pipeline that was basically going to take oil into Canada, and they were gone day one. Of his administration.
And so
nobody called them. Nobody put them on 60 Minutes.
No, not at all. No one even cared about them whatsoever and told them, sorry, take your painful departure and your loss of your job and go find a green job. Find you something else to do. You better go back to school and get a degree in IT or something. It was almost, not even almost, it was nothing more than poking at them, saying, ha ha, we canceled your job. They took joy in it. And there was somebody that finally started asking those guys in the video that I was watching this morning, and I swear it was NBC, but it doesn't sound right.
Well, this is why it's supposed to be on Pornhub, but it's my version.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me all about it.
But they talked to these pipeline workers, and a lot of them are still out of work. They're like, I was looking for the green jobs they told me to get, and they don't exist. They're telling me to go get IT jobs, and those are being cut faster than government jobs. So everything that they said go do, I tried, and it didn't work. So for people now to want us to show them so much sympathy about losing federal jobs that they were guaranteed for life and they didn't have to work at all and have to show up at the office, that if things got done, that's great, and if it didn't, that's fine too. They want us to feel bad for them, but they showed no sympathy for those XL pipeline workers. Zero.
There were three words that were told to us when it came to some of these, whether it's the XL pipeline or whether it was the experimental jab. When you decided you did not want to go down this road, and boy, you're getting happier about it by the day. We'll get into that a little bit later. The left always had the same thing to you. Learn to code.
That's it. Because I said IT. It was learn to code. That's exactly right.
And all I'm saying is, as your job at the IRS goes away, or USAID, which is not an aid organization for international development, learn to code.
Learn to code.
I mean, just flat out, learn to code. If you're upset
become a farmhand,
that your gender studies job is now going away, all I'm telling you is the same thing you told me. Learn to code.
It's hard for me to feel bad for people that have been just taking advantage of the system. It's like the bully at school, man. They bully and they bully and they bully, and then they go from person to person and they bully them and bully them and bully them. And then all of a sudden, the one dude that just, I'm not taking it anymore.
He hands O'Doyle a fist sandwich.
That's exactly right. O'Doyle rules. Bam. Does everybody not go, finally?
Yeah.
Finally, somebody stood up to that. It's exactly the way I feel about this bureaucracy in D.C. Finally, somebody punched the bully in the face. That's the way I feel about it.
Took their lunch money.
That's right. That's the way I feel about it.
I feel great about it.
Am I compassionate? Yes. I feel like I'm compassionate about all kinds of things in life. And I always try to take the high road. But I think this is the high road. Paring down the federal bureaucracy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to shrink the federal government. No one else had the courage to do it. No one else had the desire to do it. Everybody has always said it needed to be done. Finally, it's being done.
The operative moment for me is that it feels like I have a lot of people based on my experience, people I know, and when government workers explain their jobs. This feels a whole lot stealing from the American taxpayer.
It is. I think it is. I think it's genuinely that.
And so as these jobs go away, you don't really have to be sad about it. I mean, you're busy. If you were, let's just say that you're a retiree and you decided you're going to go work at Publix and you're going to bag groceries. Imagine if you basically told your employer, I'm bagging for half an hour and then I'm going to go stand over in the corner for the next 4 hours. Like, that's not going to work. That's not efficient. That's not worth the pay. But that's how the government works. There's a reason why we're going to look into, and it'll come out in the next several weeks, DOJ is going to look into the amount of government employees who had 2 W-2s. They were stealing from the American public while working for somebody else.
There's so many companies, and that should frustrate everybody. Just that they were taking a check, working, quote unquote, working from home while actually doing another job. So they're double dipping on your dime. And I've not heard anybody of the people that are laid off that are protesting in front of the Treasury or wherever they're protesting. They've not said anything about the layoffs at J.P. Morgan Chase,
nope,
Southwest Airlines, Blue Origin, Estee Lauder. All of these companies are cutting thousands of people, and there's no.
They're not marching in the streets.
They're not marching in the streets. They're not doing any of that. No, does no one care about those people? Did the Democrats and those government workers, do they not care about these people too? Or is it just them because it's affecting them? Because that's what it seems like to me.
I think about when I had, and it's only happened one time, fortunately. It will happen again, but it's only happened one time. The one time I was let go from a job in radio, and management and ownership could not explain why, because they didn't want to create a panic. But we all understood this place is having such financial issues that if you have a tiny bit of success, they're going to turn you loose. That's just how it was going to go. The federal government, all they're asking is that be essential, do a good job. And DOJ,
that's too much to ask.
And DOJ has recognized that we have to let you go because the work you do is so inconsequential that it's just not worth it.
And then, like for a lot of those technology companies,
I knew I was consequential, but I also was like, I'm expensive.
Yeah, right.
I know what's happening.
Right.
These people in the federal government are like, I'm expensive and I'm inconsequential.
And yet I want to keep my job.
Yes.
I mean, I understand they want to keep it, but you wanted to keep the job you got fired from.
I did. I was like, this seems awesome.
The people that I brought up, they wanted to keep their jobs too at J.P. Morgan Chase and Blue Origin and all the other places. They wanted to, but that wasn't an option anymore.
No.
This isn't an option anymore. We are paring down the size of the federal government. And oh, by the way, the American people are in support of it. We all understand that we can't continue this way. You can't spend your way out of debt. And that's what we've been trying to do for as long as I can remember. This is, I'll say it again, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do what everybody knows needs to be done and has not been brave enough to do it.
There are two truths, and I like that you have brought it up all throughout this week. You can't spend your way out of debt. You also can't tax your way into prosperity.
No, that's right. Those two are
It's got to be a balance
exactly
between
right.
the two, somewhere in the middle.
These people. Nicole Shanahan, I think, is an interesting lady.
Sheridan.
Did I say Shanahan?
I was thinking suddenly, I was like, she's calling plays in the NFL, huh? Like in my mind, I'm like, did I mess that up for 6 months?
No. I was thinking about Nicole Shanahan, who worked with RFK, who's just sick and tired of being lied to. She's left the Democrat Party because she is tired of being lied to. This is Nicole Sheridan.
So I love this piece of audio going through it yesterday. She talks about what it feels like when you recognize that it wasn't that a party misled you. It wasn't that they were wrong about something and they had a view and it turned out to just be incorrect. It's different when you feel like you've been purely lied to. And the amount of Democrats that have found their way to our tent, not because they're dumb, not because suddenly they've become enlightened, it's because they feel like as their policies evolved, their party was not honest with them and would not share, here's what's really going on in the world. And so they feel burned by it. So take a listen. This is Nicole.
I was wrong to ever trust these people. And many Democrats are opening up to this acceptance that they were wrong, they were misguided, they were lied to, and it's all this bait and switch. And that's what the party's been. And that's what, and nobody in their right mind can continue to support that.
That's the deal. When she puts bait and switch, you asked for my loyalty, I gave it to you based on a particular set of policies. Once you went ahead and turned and moved them, you still asked for my loyalty. And she's the one who's hanging out there exposed.
And we talked about a woman just like that we played early. Remember when she's like, I'm a Trump baby. You know, I'm a Trump girl, baby. It's the exact same thing. That woman wasn't always a Trump voter. I'd be willing to bet everything I had. And then she figured out, wait, I'm being lied to. I'm being misled. I'm being led around by my nose. And yet, the whole time, they're continuing to feed you the line, and then when you wise up, it's you. You're the problem.
Yeah,
you're the one that is defaulting to the devil. You're switching sides and going down the road of evil with Donald Trump.
Well, it's weird how they will make it a point that you left the cult, like you went off the reservation. Suddenly, you're not in for the fight the same way they are. And I think there's a handful of Democrats that have shown they are given the leeway to do that, yet still be Democrats. For the run-of-the-mill Democrat, if Aunt Peg was to get up today and tell her liberal friend group, you know, her, in this case, like for us, we have like Forsyth County politics on Facebook. If you were to say, you know, I think Donald Trump had a good point about that.
I'm a Trump baby. Yes, I am.
Ostracized.
Yeah.
Like gone.
Yeah.
Like you're not allowed to say these sorts of things.
You can't even be
all.
a part of our Facebook page saying stuff like that.
So we're going to run you out of here.
Crazy person. But that's just what happens, and it has to happen. And it's funny because Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase, he brought this up. When it comes to people doing their job and just doing what you're asked to do. Apparently, like they have, you know, the Forsyth County Facebook page with the people that work for him and his company, the company that he leads, they put together this petition, if you will, and it had a lot of people. And they were protesting, Los, the fact that he's saying you got to come back to the office. We know the productivity goes down, whatever. You know what he said to these people? And there was a bunch of people that signed it. And he was like, I don't give an F about your petition. I do not care about your petition. I don't care how many people signed it. I don't care what you think. I know that you at home working is not getting the job that we pay you to do done. Get your AWS back in the office, period. Drop the microphone. And guess what? All of a sudden, the petition has stopped. There's no more steam behind it because it contributes nothing. It means nothing, and it's not even taken into consideration. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're asking the federal government employees to do.
It's not like rule of law. I'm going to have a petition. I'm going to find 5,000 of my fellow employees, and we're all going to say we don't want to go back to the office. And then we're going to send it over to CEO Jamie Dimon and say, here, look, 6,000 of them say we're not showing back up. Until it's your job.
Yeah. Everyone is back.
I love it. I don't give an F about the petition.
That's exactly what he said. He's like, I do not give an F about the petition. Everyone, and he follows it up, everyone is back in the office March 1st. It's not hard. Do what you're paid to do or find another job. The freeloading is over.
It's like when my girls, when they get up in the morning and they say, I'm tired. I don't want to go to school. I'm like, guess who's going to school?
You.
This is what it's going to be. You.
My parents used to tell me the same thing.
Yeah, I had perfect attendance when I was like in elementary school because it didn't matter how I felt. My mom's like, guess who's going to school? You.
It's time.
Unless you're coughing up a lung.
That's right.
Or you're bleeding from your eyelids.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to school.
You got to learn.
Sorry. Like these people have
no negotiation.
They have to be treated like children.
Can you imagine you and your siblings writing your names down on a piece of paper and handing it to your mama? This is our petition.
This is our petition. We don't want to go to school.
Mama said, I don't give an F get up, get a shower, get dressed, get you something to eat, and get on the damn bus.
It's like, Mama, we ain't going to take it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to school.
Like Dee Snider, we're not going to take it. Yes, you are. As a matter of fact, you are going to take it. And you can turn the Twisted Sister off. Nobody's listening. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. When we continue, Trump has labeled Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations. And there are some concerns with that action. Though, there's some good things that'll happen. There's going to be some bumps in the road, too. Count on it. Talk about it next. After headlines on Extra 106.3. The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
Here are the Democrats trying to pretend they're all together, chanting about their new song to take over America again.
Which side are you on?
Which side?
Which side are you on?
The side of your own. That's the Democrat Party.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Southern Exteriors got started as a one-truck crew with a simple goal: deliver quality craftsmanship and unbeatable service. We are 25 years later, and they've done over 200,000 jobs. They've grown into the leader, serving 6 states. Over 30 project managers ready to handle any project, big or small. Windows, doors, roofing, siding, gutters, screened-in porches. They have the size and the scale to get it all done. The beauty is they're small enough to be able to know folks by name, like I do. Jason and Noah and Lance and Bradley and Mike. We call them the boy band. I mean, they literally could put their own boy band together because they've got those kind of names. And they're all entertaining and they're all fun to hang out with. They're good dudes. They work hard and get the job done. Right now, Southern Exteriors is making it easier than ever to upgrade your home. 0% financing for 12 months and 10% off of any job. You can choose either one, whatever fits your situation better.
Have you called CO?
What do you do? You wouldn't need to call CO. You would have to go to southernexteriors.co. I guess you call the company, though. Call the CO. That's right. Girl, you know it's true. Yeah. If you want to take care of your biggest investment, the one that's going to help you retire one day, your home, that's where you need to invest your money. And Southern Exteriors can do that for you.
Treat it like you love her.
Yes. That's right. southernexteriors.co.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth. If they're going to make your life miserable, we all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. Now that President Trump has unburdened us from what could have been, our country's finally headed in the right directions. But the Democrats are screaming and yelling and losing their minds. And unfortunately, the bad guys are still here and they want your stuff. Thank you, Joe Biden. And customers are still reporting break-ins and thefts of their hard-earned valuables. Don't wait till it's too late. Get a quality safe from the Safe House. We carry the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And remember, gun safes are sales tax-free at Atlanta Safe House. So give us a call or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Find your perfect Ford today at Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs. Home to one of Atlanta's largest selections of new and used vehicles. They're just 4 miles north of 285 on Roswell Road.
Stop by today to explore their incredible inventory of cars, trucks, and SUVs, each thoroughly vetted to meet the highest standards.
Looking for power and performance? Drive home a legendary Mustang or conquer the great outdoors in the rugged Bronco.
Need family-friendly space? The Explorer and Expedition have you covered. Or experience the capability and strength of America's best-selling truck, the F-150.
And when it's time to finance, their straightforward, hassle-free process ensures your experience is stress-free.
With access to numerous lenders and expert guidance, they'll help you find the best rates and terms to fit your budget.
Which Ford will you drive home next? Find out at Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs, or visit them online at jimellisford.com.
Your Ford dreams are waiting. Make them a reality today at Atlanta's favorite Ford dealer, Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. Here are your headlines for Thursday, February 20th. A cold weather advisory is in effect until 10 a.m. for all of North Georgia. Temperatures are currently sitting in the teens and the 20s, but wind chills will feel as if we are in the single digits across northern Georgia. Atlanta-based Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 to every passenger on board a flight that crashed, landed in Toronto earlier this week. ABC News has learned and is reporting the flight, which left Minneapolis for Toronto, had 80 people on board and all were evacuated. Some 76 people and passengers and 4 crew members in total were on the flight. Georgia parents should get a little bit more help with child care costs under a bill that passed the state Senate on Wednesday. Senate Bill 89 would create a new child care income tax credit and expand some existing credits. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call, vansantlaw.com. A friend of mine that I went to lunch with yesterday is one of the funniest people I know, and he lives up in Rome, Georgia. I drove up to Ackworth. We split the difference just because we ain't seen each other in forever. And he posted this morning on Facebook. I want to know how much of our Ukrainian aid actually went to the Dodgers. He's got a good point because there's
funny. $100 million that's missing.
Exactly how much of it ended up in L.A.
$173 billion, and we're like, half of this we don't know where it is.
Exactly. The Dodgers had to get some of it. Have you seen that payroll? Good Lord. Is anybody going to be able to beat the Dodgers this year? And I know my wife tells me this all the time. Laura said, it doesn't always matter about who spent the most. And I was like, yeah, but it's helped. It does help.
It does help over 162.
Yes, it does.
But when you get to the playoffs and it's down to the best of 5, best of 7, yeah, payroll kind of goes out the window.
It does.
Who's playing well, who's hot.
There. Yeah, who gets hot at the right time.
2 pitchers, 2 hitters.
That's
you
what
got them
we're
hot,
for.
you're good to go.
Yeah. I bet a bunch of that money. I don't know who in the Dodgers organization is connected with the federal government, but I guarantee. Look, Stacey Abrams got $2 billion. I mean, a group that she's connected to got $2 billion. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Based on $100 of revenue, according to their tax forms.
And they were a green energy nonprofit, and they were going to help people, green their home, if you will. Getting rid of all the gas stoves and doing electric this and electric that. They had $100, and this foundation was only created months before they get a $2 billion loan. Grant. Loan you have to pay back. Grant.
We have so many of these programs that are perfect places for fraud.
Oh my gosh, ripe for fraud.
Perfect places. And so to watch Doge go through them and to point them out. And by the way, this isn't done in the dark. Like I know Eric Swalwell was like, there's no information that they're saving us money. Just go over to their website. They'll tell you, here's the program. And then what they'll do is they'll use the federal forms to show you, here are the layouts. And what essentially what Doge is doing, this is not that complicated. They're canceling contracts that do not serve the American public. That's the game.
It's pretty easy, man.
$2 billion going over to your place to facilitate green energy in Georgia. We're just not paying it. We're canceling the contract.
If you want to know more about it, just look up the Power Forward Communities. That was the organization that the EPA sent $2 billion to. They're connected with all kinds of other leftist organizations and leftist nonprofits, many that Stacey Abrams founded herself. So just something you might want to look into. There's something else that happened that is very interesting, that is very is challenging. And I think on the surface it seems like, hey, this is a great idea, let's do it. And there are going to be plenty of benefits, but there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road too, and that is labeling a whole bunch of these cartels as terrorist organizations. It opens up the door to using special ops. It gives the president a whole lot more opportunity to go after them, but it's not as easy as it sounds like it's going to be.
This is not cut and dried in my
cut and dry is the way to put it.
And the reason why it bothers me, because I believe that the Trump administration has been in perfect lockstep with doing the right things. This is the first one where I go, you better watch out. We're kicking a bee's nest here. And the reason why, as of yesterday, and this is ramped up since I first was writing about it, you now have 7 different organizations that are considered terrorist organizations, which means we can now have our military, which is at the border, targeting these people. I mean, you can drone strike them is what it basically allows you to do.
And we've been doing drone ops.
Yep.
You've seen Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, acting like it's no, she's downplaying it basically because everybody notices the drones that are hovering all over the certain parts of Mexico where the cartels operate, at most of the time. And that's the thing. Is that she is downplaying it and acting like nothing's happening. But I promise you there are CIA and special operators that are getting ready to do something. What they're going to do, who knows? But it will involve drone strikes and it maybe even boots on the ground.
But this is where I am saying I don't downplay this. If we think about what happened on 9/11, where you had 3,000 American citizens who perished on that day in terrorist attacks, that was worth going to war for, and ultimately it was worth basically creating a hub in Afghanistan and then eventually in Iraq where we asked our enemies to attack us there, not on the homeland. That's what our veterans paid for. As much as they might say, what did we get out of this? You kept the homeland safe for 20 years by making yourselves a target in foreign territory. That's heroic. That's what you did. That's my opinion on it. What we're talking about now, when it comes to fighting these cartels, I get it. We've had 300,000 people that have died from fentanyl overdoses, that it is manufactured in China, it's mixed in Mexico, and it finds its way into the United States, and 300,000 Americans are dead by it. That should say that we are ready to go ahead and fight you. It's just that it's going to get dirty.
It's going to get
because the cartels. This is like
they use
terrorist organizations.
Absolutely, they are, and they've already started implementing those tactics, and they're already buying on the black market these weapons that are actual weapons of
military grade weapons to use against armed military
rocket launchers. And with drone technology becoming so precise and so inexpensive, they can buy their own fleet of drones to do all sorts of things. And once we start attacking inside, which is what's going to happen at some point, they're not going to be afraid to do it on the American homeland.
No, and this is not a live and let live. Hey, everybody just let them do what they're going to do, because that's been the policy, and that hasn't worked. But ramping things up against a terrorist organization that is on your border, and that largely, for the most part, has decided to stay out of causing the spillover into America because they don't want the problems that it might bring. All right, we're bringing the problem to them.
Yeah, we're introducing it.
I'm guaranteeing, we're going to get aircraft shot down there. There's going to be craziness. We're going to say, how the hell did they have that sort of weaponry? Well, you can buy a whole lot when you've got billions of dollars in drug money.
That's right, and backed by the Chinese, because the Chinese want this to happen more than anybody. How can we get the heat off of us because we've been paying attention to China? Donald Trump says China is our biggest enemy, and I agree with that. But the Chinese love it. How do we get their focus off of us and onto the cartels? And they're backing the cartels, so it's a bit of a proxy for them.
And 300,000 dead doesn't mean that, hey, this is a mistake that we're doing. No, this is part of what you campaigned on. This was something that we're all very excited about. We want our special operators to go get rid of these horrible organizations. I'm just saying things are going to get bloody.
It's going to get dirty.
Things are going to get dirty.
Yeah.
Like as much as
what do you have the stomach for?
Yeah, what do you have the stomach for? As much as we talk about staying out of situations around the world, that we're not sending our troops over into Ukraine, or we're not sending them to some far off land to go fight some proxy war or take part in a proxy war. This legitimately is a war against an organization, and the organization owns the country.
All of it. They are in charge of all of it. Claudia Sheinbaum, president in name only, if you will, because she works at their pleasure. Another thing that I don't think is being taken into consideration, we've closed down the border. And at some point, we're going to reopen it to asylum seekers. Asylum seekers, all of a sudden, have a new avenue of claiming asylum. It's no longer cartels they're running from. It's terrorist organizations.
Sure.
That's going to benefit people trying to get into the country. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but it's not been discussed.
But if you're from Venezuela and you say, I'm trying to escape a communist regime.
Or Trinidad Aragua.
Okay, you have a situation where that's probably going to be considered more legitimate. As this goes on, and if it becomes a full-on real fight every day between American forces and what's going on with the cartel, you can leave and claim the violence within your area is justification for me to get out of here.
I'm running from a terrorist organization.
And that is much better. That's much more legitimate.
You jump the line.
Yeah.
You probably go to head of the line.
Come on,
because
in.
you're in the most dire straits, which is the whole point of the asylum.
I mean, think about it. You got a family of 4, and they're in a hotbed where there is shooting every day. Would that not tug at your heartstrings to be like, Absolutely. They're trying to get out of there?
Absolutely. 100%.
They're seeking asylum from what is basically a war between the United States Special Forces and the cartels.
Yeah. You just get ready. What do you have the stomach for? Because as this continues, as this proceeds,
it's going to get gross.
It's going to be tough. It's probably something that most Americans have never seen in their entire life.
If the Mexican government is compliant, anytime we drone strike anything or anytime there's any sort of operation, you'll never hear about it.
Right.
That's if they're being compliant with the Americans.
And I don't know that I believe everybody in the Mexican government is going to be like that.
I don't know.
Because they're all bought and paid for by the cartels. Every one of them, from the president all the way down to the entirety of their military. I've told you that the Mexican Navy is the least corrupt, the most dependable. And they're infiltrated by the cartels too. The cartels own and run everything in Mexico. It is a narco state. That is not something like a TV slogan that I'm using. It really is.
Well, Jerry ended up having a story about how you had Border Patrol agents that they had also been infiltrated by the cartels. And so this is, man, just money corrupts, and it's an endless amount of money that they're able to use. And so that endless amount of money eventually turns into arms. And so I wonder how long we're able to do this and keep our American servicemen and women safe when they're operating over there. Because this I think gets ugly. And I think this might be the first time where I go, Mr. President, we got to be real careful with this one.
Yeah, you do. Because the American people, especially with the upheaval of everything else too, you know what I mean? We're cutting back. We're just in a time of dramatic change in the federal government, across the country, politically, culturally, and then a war on your southern border that will be fought with bullets, not just drones. That is something that it's going to take some getting used to. Is not the way I want to put it, but that's what I mean.
Well, I would say this, Tug, and I think you and I would probably be in agreement on this. Despite the fact that you have friends of yours, friends of ours that have Ukrainian flags on their Facebook or their X and everything else they got, I have no interest in putting American men and women on the ground in a combat capacity. Advisory, that's different. But a combat capacity in Ukraine and have them be killed. It's different in that it's on your border against a terrorist organization. You can deal
100%.
with Vladimir Putin and have those forces be pulled out of there. You can't deal with the cartel unless you're using violence.
That's right.
That's the only thing they understand.
Well, and it's the only thing that's going to stop it. You can go after their bank accounts. You can do all that. How do you know? Everything is the tentacles are so deep in the Mexican government and Mexican society. Like, you can try to stop them from being able to use banking, but how do you know who's a cartel member and who's not when the entire country is run by the cartels?
Checking for tattoos?
Yeah, I guess.
What do we do?
Yeah, when you go, I need your ID and can I see your sleeves? Can I inspect your tattoos? It's going to be, dude, it's going to be tricky, and this may be as much pushback as Trump's getting. He may get the most pushback of this if it gets ugly. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. When we continue, it's like a Saturday Night Live skit, but in real life. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Atlanta Braves held their first full squad workout yesterday in Cool Today Park down in Northport, Florida. Manager Brian Snicker held the team's first official team meeting of the year, setting expectations for spring training. The Braves will play their first game on Saturday against the Twins at 1:05. And the Atlanta Hawks take on the Orlando Magic tonight in State Farm Arena at 7. The Hawks will be without Larry Nance Jr. and Vic Krejci, with Trey Young listed as a game-time decision. And the Magic will not have Jalen Suggs. Atlanta sits a half a game behind Orlando for 7th in the Eastern Conference with a 26-29 record. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools, so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Lieutenant Roger Knowles of the Cobb County Police Department Homeland Security. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family, an investment that will hold its value, and something that will last a long time. You're buying trust. For a limited time, celebrate all the 2025 models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, now through March 31st. Whether you're looking to match your adventurous spirit with the 2025 Subaru Outback or lean on the reliability of the 2025 Subaru Forester, Subaru of Gwinnett has the perfect fit for your family. You'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek, and the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru of Gwinnett has been your hometown dealership for years, and we're proud to be here to help your family find a Subaru to love for years to come. And our award-winning service department is here to ensure you've always got someone to lean on and trust when you need us. Stop in for a test drive on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and meet our incredible staff, or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
At the Piedmont Bank, we're proud to be one of Georgia's largest community banks, focusing on serving businesses and the communities they serve. With headquarters right here in Metro Atlanta, our tailored banking expertise and solutions help meet the diverse needs of our customers so they have what it takes to grow, expand, and thrive. It's what elevates us above the rest. Find a location near you at Piedmont.bank and experience elevated banking for you and your business. The Piedmont Bank. Banking elevated. Member FDIC and Equal Housing lender.
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3, 7 o'clock hour, brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. In an accident, make the right call, vansantlaw.com. Saturday Night Live has become funny again. I know a lot of people had their tail feathers all dusted up because of the whole Tom Hanks skit with the MAGA hat. Just quit crying. Who cares? It's funny. It's supposed to be funny. I took zero offense to it. It didn't bother me at all.
They made it a caricature of MAGA, and fine, granted, there are things about Tom Hanks.
Oh, well, look, that gets deep.
But if there was no issues related to Tom Hanks, I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah,
like there's a veiled racism that he's got. I'm like, listen, that's the way they see you.
Yes.
Even though if you go out to any one of these events, everyone's welcome.
That's right, absolutely. And the people that are there are from every walk and background, every.
That's why they like going.
It's exactly
Everybody
right.
hangs out.
We played the audio from the black woman earlier that 6 months ago, I was told that we couldn't have anything in common. And she was so funny. She's like, I can't believe Donald Trump's kept every one of his promises.
I's a Trump baby. Yes, I am.
That's right. For her, man. I love it. So, but that's the thing. Saturday Night Live has started to be funny again. At a risk of sounding like John Fetterman, don't overreact to everything, because that's his message on the other side.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Keep it under wraps.
Yeah,
it's
man.
fine.
It's okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't, outside of things that go on with like wife and kids, it's very hard to get a rise out of me out of stuff.
Right. Same here.
That stuff, okay, that's going to get a rise out of me. But if your thought process is, well, I'm going to pick at a caricature of you, or I'm going to make fun of you, I'm going to point out, I'm just going to go, all right, that's cool.
All right.
I mean, I already told you.
Yeah.
Call me racist, homophobic, transphobe, all of them. I'm like, okay, cool. Totally fine. Really don't bother me. You know what I care about? The 15th and the 30th.
Yes. Right, absolutely.
And as long as that person goes, I like what he's doing, we're good here. Everything's
100%.
fine.
Yes, absolutely right.
Write that down, JoJo. 15th and the 30th. That's all that really matters.
And Dre, you should probably write it down too.
Oh, I got a funny story. I'll have to work this in at some point during the week. We have a friend of ours, and she's decidedly liberal. And she had an incident occur in her office where liberal politics was thrown in her face.
Because she wasn't liberal enough?
Put it this way. It's not Me Too oriented, but you have a lot of offices that have now turned into, if there's a woman who files a complaint, then that has to be followed to fruition throughout all of HR. It's part of, we're going to make sure that anything that gets logged, we're going to go through the process.
Okay.
And she was like this, but I'm a woman.
Okay, yeah.
But it didn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Because a woman made a complaint, and she's hold on, but I'm a woman.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, well, we just
sorry about your luck.
We got to deal with this. This is the way we got. She's like, but I'm a woman. What do you mean that I made an environment that was unfriendly towards women? Yeah. I'm a woman.
This is almost illogical.
Yeah, the alleged person who created this is no longer under consideration. But we'll get into that.
Okay, I look forward to hearing it.
It was a very funny story from a couple weeks ago from a friend of mine. I was like, so how does she view her politics now? She's like, she didn't expect it to be thrown in her face in the way that she did. In fact, the joke was, he's like, well, you kind of voted for this.
Yeah,
and she was like, I kind of did. Maybe the red pill moment.
Dude, I hope so. Gosh, we need more people like her to be smart, to be independent, and think for themselves.
Or to be attacked by their own politics to realize how silly it is.
That would also apply here. And it's, anytime, I hope she can laugh about it one day. That'll be the hope. The hope that comes from it, because I feel like we laugh a lot.
Yeah,
at silly things. Stuff. And back to Saturday Night Live, because there are things that they do that are really, really funny, and they poke fun at everybody. But what happens when real life actually resembles a Saturday Night Live skit?
I was very proud that I tweeted this out, and then within hours, Elon Musk said something very similar. I'm like, I'm thinking on the level of the richest man in the world. Very smart guy. You can't tell the difference right now between real life and parody. So there's a woman. Her name is Summer Harvey. And I right now have her LinkedIn page right in front of me.
Oh, hi, Summer.
Nice, lovely woman. Probably mid-20s.
Okay.
And she has it listed on her page as, first off, she, her, which we're going to have to.
Oh, yes.
That's the first. That's the first indicator.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, like the flag just went up on the pirate ship. I know where we're going here.
Yeah, right. I know which way the wind's blowing.
It says, epidemiology PhD student with a strong interest in gynecological cancer epidemiology. I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty.
Yeah, sure.
Robust research background at the National Cancer Institute. Arlington, Virginia is where she's from.
All right, sounds like
DC area, making money within the government, probably 6 figures. Sounds like she's looking into cancer. Like, this is somebody I want there.
That's right, absolutely noble.
This is great. This is great all the way around. Well, Summer Harvey was terminated. Summer Harvey got up in front of a crowd yesterday and explained what happened to her. Take a listen to her complaints and actually what she was researching for the federal government.
National Cancer Institute funded study was terminated. I never received a written letter, but I was told to stop work immediately and that no more research expenditures would be allowed. My study to explore how to safely collect sexual orientation and gender identity in cancer care practices was in response to the American Society of Clinical Oncology, the American Medical Association, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, and many other national professional standard-setting bodies that recognize that we need better data to create better clinical guidelines for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people.
So let me get this straight.
Data to create better clinical guidelines.
Your job in D.C., because cancer, if you've been touched by it,
and most have,
does not care who you are, what you're about, what your pronouns are, or anything else like that. Cancer is cancer. I tell you, I hate 2 things in this world: terrorism and cancer. The only 2 things you'll ever hear me say I hate. I hate terrorism. I hate cancer. This woman, her job was to collect data on whether you were transsexual, whether you were lesbian, whether you were gay, and somehow that would affect your care when it came to cancer, and then to catalog it.
Like, you're fighting for your life, and you're concerned with somebody using your proper pronouns.
Somebody is coming up to you and saying, excuse me, how do you identify? Because
identify as a cancer patient. Please help me get better. That's how I identify.
Yes, I identify as somebody who wants to be here long term for my family. I would like to survive this scourge, this awful disease. And this woman, Summer Harvey, is going, are you transsexual? Are you lesbian? Are you gay? How do you view yourself? Because I need to make sure and catalog this as part of our epidemiological research that we're doing for the federal government.
Loves, I find it hard to believe that somebody that is close to death with cancer is concerned with this. I find it hard to believe. I maybe there is someone. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist at all. But when your life is on the line and you're worried about making it the next day, that you're concerned with any of that stuff. You know, when you say it's easy to be concerned with things that aren't as important when you're fat and happy?
The frivolous stuff.
The frivolous stuff. When you have cancer, the frivolous stuff go away. You couldn't care less about any of that stuff.
When you're told early on about, hey, you got the big C, and here's Summer Harvey to be like, how do you identify? I need to go ahead and register this for the federal government.
Please help me get better.
So
that's how I identify.
It's a real life Saturday Night Live skit
So
when
ridiculous.
these people talk about holding on to their jobs. And this is the research I was doing that was so critical and important. No, Doge looked at it and said, this is stupid.
That's exactly right. And it is.
And you got to go. Could you imagine? Like you're sitting in a doctor's office and you're told you have some form of cancer and here's the treatment regimen. Here's what we're going to go ahead and do. And on the back end, they're like, oh, and by the way, can you fill out this form as to how you sexually identify?
I mean, it's
because we need this for the federal government so Summer Harvey can have a job.
No, thank you. And look, there are going to be people that are doing good work that are going to get cut. Just like at JP Morgan Chase and just like at Southwest Airlines and just like on the Keystone XL pipeline, there are going to be good people that lose their jobs. And that's tough. It's hard. Don't wish that on anybody. But it is time to rip off the Band-Aid. And that's what Donald Trump's doing. And I support it. Wholly. There's nothing he's doing that I don't support.
If I didn't know that Summer Harvey was real, I would have thought that was a bit. That she got up in front of people and did a bit.
A Saturday Night Live skit right in front of D.C. and everybody and God and everybody. Matt Gaetz has spilled the tea on money laundering. We've discussed it many times. Get his perspective after a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update on Extra 106.3.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
If you really want to make yourself ill, consider the way Democrats are fighting the Republicans tooth and nail with every weapon at their disposal to prevent Republicans from cutting government spending on any program anywhere, or from getting rid of bloated bureaucracies. Remember, it was the Democrats at their convention that said, we all belong to the government. The government is the only thing we all belong to. It's like belonging to a church, the church of big government. To Democrats, Capitol Hill is the Vatican. The House and Senate chambers on Capitol Hill are the chapels that the Democrats worship the God of government. Every religion, of course, needs a Bible. Yep, the Democrats have one. It's called the Federal Register. You know what? You can get a copy of it sometime at a library and read it. I don't know if it's published daily or weekly, but all too often. The Federal Register is where all new rules and regulations promulgated by the government are printed so that everybody will know what they must do and what they cannot do. There you go, kind of like a Bible. I swear Democrats would, if they could, put their hand on the Federal Register when they're sworn into office. It means a hell of a lot more to them than any Bible or Quran or Torah does. A Democrat politician's worth is measured by how many new laws he passes, how many new regulations he imposes on the American people and American businesses. A new rule is almost an orgasmic experience to a good Democrat. And eliminating regulations and reducing the size of government is sacrilegious. Sounds about right, doesn't it? Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit at nelsoneldercarelaw.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
It's been 1 month. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, since President Trump returned. And he has signed yet another executive order that Fox's Mark Meredith reports from the White House.
It should certainly appeal to voters who feel the federal government has bending over backwards to help illegal immigrants. Under the order issued overnight, our understanding the government would cut out money to spend encouraging them to get Obamacare, money for assistance programs like food stamps, as well as for the children's health insurance.
And more layoffs are coming as the Trump administration targets probationary federal workers recently hired. Multiple reports have the IRS ready to cut 6,000 jobs. And as DOJ keeps looking to slash more federal spending.
President Trump claims the Department of Government Efficiency, led by billionaire Elon Musk, is saving tens of billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse, and he's considering sending 20% of those savings to American taxpayers. Musk saying he believes it could total $5,000 per taxpayer.
As Fox's Jared Halpern, the FBI is about to get a new director.
This afternoon, the full Senate is expected to confirm FBI nominee Kash Patel. It comes despite pushback from Democrats, some of them listing all the reasons they view Patel as unqualified and not trustworthy for the job.
As Fox's Brooke Singman, Ukraine's foreign minister just met with the special U.S. envoy to his country, saying they talked about a just and lasting peace. The day after President Trump, who blames Ukraine for starting a war that began with Russia's invasion, called Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky
a dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left. Got to move fast because that war is going in the wrong direction.
The president may meet this month with Russian leader Vladimir Putin after Tuesday's U.S.-Russia talks on ending the war that Ukraine was left out of. In Gaza, that's the moment Hamas handed over 4 coffins to be given to Israel, including the remains of a mother and her 2 young children killed after the 2023 Hamas terror attack that triggered the war, and also as part of a ceasefire that halted it. 6 hostages who are alive will be set free Saturday. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless priced right. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Claim your new iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy by dialing pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
Want weather? Grab your phone. Need traffic? Grab your phone. Conservative news and talk. Also on your phone. Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra. Not Extra 106.3.
You are the darkness.
Yes, I am. You know what? I offended, and he's not in here. He's probably still out.
Did you hurt JoJo's feelings?
No, but he called me the grossest person that he'd ever spoken to.
Okay, well, I mean competitive.
Seems extreme.
Well, you're a sailor.
Well, I know, but Joey, when he was out in the during the Fox News update, our own Captain Joe Virgin River, Goey, was laying in the massage chair.
Yes.
And I was like, man, Joey's getting the rub down. And he was like, he was offended. He's like, that's the grossest thing I've ever heard anybody say.
Well, he's not Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots.
It's totally different.
Much to my chagrin.
That's true. Like, that's what he was shooting for. But, and JoJo, you have to understand, too, you are dealing with a man, and when I call him a sailor, this is within high regard. He's a sailor. he kind of views the world a little differently than everybody else does.
That's right.
He's a little bit gross.
He's constantly thinking about men getting rub downs.
No,
I'm not.
That's what sailors do.
Listen, he is a mix.
No, I'm not.
He's a mix of Top Gun Maverick and Captain Jack Sparrow.
Dude, that's the greatest mix of all time. Count me in. If that's what people think of me, I've won.
There you go.
Seriously, gosh, that's great.
That is Tug Cowart. Little bit hero, little bit deviant.
A little bit zero.
And only a sprinkle of Brokeback Mountain in there.
That's very, very slight. There's
what
not a
was
lot.
it? 1,000 people go out, 500 couples come back.
That's right, yes. That's exactly right. Or
That
aircraft
wasn't
carrier.
my joke.
No.
That was Navy Tug's joke.
Well, but Benny Cho actually told me that joke. It was when I was 18 years old leaving, and I worked with Benny up in Dalton, Georgia. He worked at Textile Rubber and Chemical Company, where I worked as, I'd leave school for half a day, go work there, got some great experience. And then after I was done there, I went to the record store. It was called Backstage Music. Went there and worked there for the rest of the night. And Benny Cho, he told me, he was like, because he didn't know me as Tug, he knew me as Jerry. He was like, Jerry, maybe Navy. And he just laughed. He just roared. He thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, and he made himself laugh with this. And then that's when he hit me with, aircraft carrier, 5,000 people go out, 2,500 couples come back. It's Benny Cho.
Factual.
The greatest guy of all time.
Tug just nods like, yes,
yeah,
that's right.
I get it, Benny. I get it. That's right, all the time. It's just exactly right. Which is why I really like Jefferson's Ocean Whiskey if you ever get a chance. Yeah, because they put it on a seagoing ship and it just sits and rocks in those oak barrels and is so good.
But that's also an issue that Jerry has because people unmercifully attack the Air Force.
Yeah, they do.
Everybody else attacks the Air Force.
Almost.
I mean, when you have Marines go after the Air Force, they do it in a way that is ruthless. Ruthless. Like
everything else the Marines do.
True. Very true. And thank
all the amenities, right? Yeah, it's like going to Disney World when you end up on an Air Force
But
base.
thank God for the Marines. All right.
Yes,
I loved hearing Kimmer talk about Iwo Jima yesterday. He talked about Basilone, Medal of Honor recipient.
Yep.
Talked about his service. Basilone ended up going into the war bond movement and then basically told the government, I want to go back to war with my men. And so he's killed on the first day at Iwo Jima. Marines are they're
wired different. They're wired differently.
It's like, here, your job is to raise money for the war. Okay, I'd rather shoot and kill the enemy.
Those people aren't made every day. And people like that, and Joey Jones, another guy. They just are wired differently. Man, when I was joining the Navy, which is not, it's not the Marine Corps. It is not. It's not that same intensity. It's not. The Navy's amazing, and I love the Navy. So please don't take this as a slander to the Navy. It's just different than the Marine Corps.
If you want to slander the Air Force, though.
Yeah, anybody can do that. It's fine. Nobody cares. And nobody even. It's like nobody even defends it. Even Air Force people don't defend it. I'm just telling you. Even Air Force people realize, hey, we got it pretty good. My brother-in-law retired as a captain in the Air Force. Nothing but love for the Air Force. He's not going to tell you it's like being in the Marine Corps. I was in the Navy. I'm not going to tell you being in the Navy was like being in the Marine Corps. You would be a bold-faced liar if you said that. It's just different.
We got a family friend who he's accepted. He's going to the Air Force Academy.
Which is so cool, man. I know a kid there that is a punter for the Air Force football team.
Very cool scenario. With that being said, if we told him, hey, the Marines would like you, he'd be like, nope. Really like the Air Force.
What? University of North Georgia's calling. I'll go play baseball over there. I'm not. The Marine Corps is just there. And look, the Marines, they go to Annapolis. They go to the Naval Academy. But when they get to their duty station, they do things differently. I have nothing but love and respect for all our branches. A lot of people pick on the Coast Guard. Bullcrap. Coast Guard's amazing. Love the Coast Guard.
And my grandfather spent time in the Navy. Then, when he was stateside during World War II, went to the Coast Guard because at the time, Coast Guard was what was watching the coast.
Dude, I love the
Trying
Coast
to protect the homeland at the time.
Dude, they are. True. And we did drug, because when I was stationed aboard USS South Carolina, we did drug ops with the Coast Guard. And we pulled over all kinds of cigar boats. We pulled over all kinds of pretty big boats. Man, we found so much drugs in that 3-month operation, and we were always under the command of the Coast Guard because Navy captains don't have arrest authority. Coast Guard captains do. And that's the reason. And I remember even thinking it. I was like, why are we... We're bad, man. We're badder than the Coast Guard. Why are we under the direction of the Coast Guard?
We don't have the authority.
Yeah. Oh, because we don't have the authority that they do. They're going to... Yes, they will. They absolutely will. That's a great point, Jerry Payne. Or Jerry, as we like to call him.
Jerry.
That's because his middle name is Ray. Jerry Ray.
Jerry Payne. Jerry
But,
Ray.
yeah, I love our men and
Jerry.
women in uniform. I have nothing but respect for them. Every branch, love you. Love every branch, even though I was a Navy man and I love the Navy the most.
By the way, our friend Liberty Lost on Twitter pointed out, why did I join the Air Force? Because I scored it high enough on the ASVAB to have a choice.
Good for him.
Good for you.
That's right.
It's a sharp man. Thank you for listening.
Yes, and we appreciate you. God bless you. Yeah, my brother-in-law is loves the Air Force, and he defends it, and he should. He absolutely should. I give him a hard time. He did tell me, he was like, yeah, our PT test was on a stationary bike. I'm like, what? How can that be real? I love it. I love it. Dude, I should have went in the Air Force. Gosh.
It's pretty comfortable, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't sound all that bad to me.
I don't know. I grew up in San Antonio where at the time, and they've changed a couple of them, but we had so many Air Force bases in our area that it was predominantly, we had some Army installations, but it was predominantly an Air Force town. And so everyone you ran into who worked in, the federal government, they were part of military service. They all predominantly worked for the Air Force. That's just what you were always around when I was growing up.
My son Jacob, who's playing baseball at USC Sumter, he transferred in January over there. Sumter, South Carolina is a very small town with, this JUCO that has a pretty decent little baseball team. Shaw Air Force Base is there. Mm-hmm. So it's the complex, the apartment complex that he lives in, because obviously they don't have housing for the school, dorms or whatever. But the housing complex or the apartment complex he's in is half baseball players or athletes at USC Sumter or Shaw Air Force Base. That's it. So he hangs out with a bunch of Air Force guys and a bunch of guys he plays ball with. That's all that's there.
That's one of my favorite things when we go down to the Panhandle and we hang out over at our place in Florida. Every now and then you'll meet a couple and they'll be Tyndall Air Force Base. So they're all from different places around the country and they are working out of Tyndall during that time period. And it's always the same thing. They're from somewhere else in the country. They've been stationed at Tyndall Air Force Base, and they were like, why am I going to where there's nobody in Florida? There's nothing around here. And then they fall in love with it because it's so quiet, it's so cool, the beaches and everything else. And so it's fun to buy those people a drink and get a chance to know them.
Heck yeah. If you ever get a chance, make sure you buy somebody in uniform. And I would even extend that to, law enforcement, EMS, firefighters. Man, if you see them, because Los, you did that recently when we were at Good Old Days Up and Coming.
Oh, yeah.
There was somebody in uniform. I can't remember what
having
branch.
Lunch.
Yeah, he was having lunch, and Los was like,
having lunch. He was Army, and I was just like, I want to buy his lunch.
And Los, when they're like, hey, do you want me to tell who didn't?
No, it's totally fine.
Just let
I just want them to come back. Hey, somebody bought your
exactly
meal.
Right.
That's it.
It's amazing. Pay it forward just like that. Matt Gaetz, he is a guy that is a lightning rod, but I have seen, he's doing that new little podcast, that show or whatever it is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's spilling it all.
Boy, howdy is he. And if you didn't like him for whatever reason, I always did. I saw why people didn't, or he rubbed people the wrong way. But he is so likable on this show. He's so funny and has such personality. It's like he didn't belong in politics to begin with. He belonged behind a microphone.
He rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I totally get it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is... he's abrasive. I mean, he's just going to tell you like it is. He is a very intelligent guy who, when it comes to knowing the law, I mean, this was a guy that we were looking at and being like, oh, he's going to be attorney general. He just happens to put it in your face.
He was the bait fish.
He was the bait fish. I'm getting out of politics. Let's put him up for attorney general. Everyone else will get confirmed, and he won't. It was the bait fish. I mean, we called it right away. We're
and
like,
it worked.
This was the sacrificial lamb to get for him to move out of politics. But Matt Gaetz, he brought up something that I don't think we've gotten a chance to explore this as much. Like, if you remember the Iran-Contra affair and everything that happened in the 80s.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Oliver
North.
Right. This was the one case where we can talk about the federal government that was accused of drug running in order to then be able to buy weapons to then give the Contras weapons. Like, that was part of what's going on. You've had different movies, different stories about the CIA's piggy bank, which has been the drug trade. And now you'll never find any sort of like direct line of being like, hey, the CIA allowed this and this is how they made their money and this is where they were able to do black ops around the world. Then we fast forward to Afghanistan and the poppy fields and our soldiers who talked about we had to protect the poppy fields because this is how the Afghanis were making money and we were getting a cut of it. All right, so take a listen to Matt Gaetz as he starts explaining how important Ukraine is to the government.
I think that the reason we are as involved in Ukraine as we are is because Afghanistan wound down. And if we still had Afghanistan to launder money through, there probably wouldn't be the need for this type of excessive involvement in Ukraine. But I think we can look at Afghanistan and we can look at what's going on here and say what a lot of these defense contractors are pushing toward is how to have an extended kind of low yield war. Like if there's a way to stretch this thing out, turn it into a 20, 30 year kind of thing where there's a whole lot of money moving around and unaccountable pots and a lot of weapons getting bought, and then, oh man, the stockpiles, well, we got to spend more money to reload those.
The problem that has gone on in Ukraine for the CIA and the American government, I'm alleging, is that they've had too many deaths in too few of amount of time. They would love to have this be a 10-year conflict. You brought this up really early on about how they want to make this a long-term conflict because it is advantageous to the weapons industry.
That's exactly right, dude. Because we're sending all of ours there. What do we have to do? We have to use money. Defense contractors are making money. People that make weapons are making money. And we're having to restock ours. This is exactly what he just said.
Think about the fact that we were in Vietnam for as long as we were, 10 plus years. And it ends up being over 50,000 Americans dead. Again, 10 plus years. Within 2 years, you have 100,000 Ukrainians dead.
Unbelievable numbers.
It is too much of a bloodbath to continue. But if we were saying that there was 5,000 dead, this thing keeps going because it makes them too much money. Like seeing Donald Trump step into the fray here and call it, hey, this is a hamburger scenario. We got to stop this. This is too many people. The defense industry is more than happy if this was 5,000 dead over, let's say, a 10-year period because they would be making their money and you would be talking about the amount of money laundering into an area where you can send it in and it comes right back out washed to you.
And to piggyback on that, you got the Europeans. Like, they love this war. They're able, in their opinion, they're able to diminish Russia without taking a bullet.
Nope.
That they're able to launder money. They're able to make money. They're able to, again, hopefully damage Russia, which is their goal, and they don't have to use troops. And if they were going to use troops, it was going to be Americans, and they were just fine with that.
Oh, they were totally fine with it.
And they're still to this moment fine with it.
Because they looked at it as the Americans want to protect their piggy bank. You know, right. And it's interesting, like Donald Trump goes after Zelensky yesterday and refers to him as a dictator. And the initial reaction by the left is grab the pearls.
That's right.
But look at what he's done.
4% approval rating. If they had an election today, do you think he wins? No, he doesn't. He's gone.
You know what's weird about it? Because I dug into those numbers. He has a larger approval rating amongst the Ukrainian people. Well, in the West is different.
Because there's no war over there.
Right. The Ukrainian people have a favorability rating of him, but they don't believe he should be serving again. It's almost as if I was to look and say, I like Donald Trump, but I don't believe he should be president. They look at him as, we like him personally, but we don't believe he should be leading any longer.
I bet those people in the East don't like him at all.
No,
because that's where all the bombs are dropping.
All the fighting's going on.
And nothing good is coming out of what is happening.
It's a trench warfare. Like, we haven't seen trench warfare since World War I.
And it goes back to, and I heard Buck Sexton say this the other day, maybe yesterday or the day before, but he was talking about pretty much the same thing I said. If there was intel that said Russia's going to march on Europe, they would be blasting it from the rooftops. It's not there. And if he piggybacked on that, he went further and said, if Russia could march on Europe, maybe they would. They can't even march on Ukraine. They can't even get that job done. What makes you think they're going to take over Europe?
That's and again, I listened to Buck Sexton say some of this stuff too. And again, as a former CIA guy, it has a certain amount of credence to it, as it should. He points out, and I totally agree with him, and I've said this on this radio show a number of times, they will run out, you'll run out of bullets before they run out of Russians.
That's been around for years. It's not like something new.
They are throwing outdated equipment at the Ukrainians. They're throwing outdated systems at the Ukrainians. They can't get out of Ukraine. They can't take Ukraine. They can't take Kiev. You know, so what makes you think that going up against NATO, they're going to somehow be suddenly wildly successful?
Because truthfully, if they're going against NATO, they're going against American troops because the Europeans don't have soldiers to push anyway.
Our systems are so much more advanced than theirs. They just have a ton of people. If they're committed to a scenario, they'll keep throwing people at it. At this point, like I said, when you're talking about 100,000 dead, perhaps on each side, it's time for this stuff to end.
No, nothing makes me roll my eyes further back in my head than Russia's going to march on Europe. That's the one. That's the one that I just cannot stand to hear because it's so false and so absurd.
Yes, and also the Tooth Fairy will be knocking on your door later. Tooth Fairy.
Exactly. When we continue on Extra 106.
Let me see them molars.
That's right. 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com, doing the winter white sale. Save yourself $2,000 off a new carrier system. When we continue, an Atlanta company that I've had issues with before does set the record straight when it comes to a discussion they had on a mainstream media outlet. You'll probably be happy with this company for once. Next on Extra 106.3. The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
Here are the Democrats trying to pretend they're all together, chanting about their new song to take over America again.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The side of your own. That's the Democrat Party.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Georgia is home to over 600,000 veterans who play an important role in strengthening our communities. The Warrior Alliance is recognizing these contributions at the 4th Annual Veteran Impact Awards and Gala on Thursday, May 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater at the Battery, Atlanta. You may participate by nominating a Georgia veteran for their exceptional service after military service in categories such as first responder, healthcare, education, military spouse, and more. Go to thewarrioralliance.org today and submit your veteran nomination.
Experience luxury like never before behind the wheel of a brand new Cadillac from Jim Ellis Cadillac.
From the iconic Escalade to the innovative electric Lyric, Jim Ellis Cadillac offers the models you know and love, along with the latest in luxury EVs.
And the buying experience just as luxurious as the Cadillac name itself. With great prices, a great selection, and a team of knowledgeable sales associates, you'll love shopping at their showroom conveniently located on Peachtree Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Prefer to shop from home? Visit JimEllisCadillac.com, where you can browse all the latest offers and even start or complete your entire purchase online with the Jim Ellis Expressway.
Want to try before you buy? Schedule an at-home test drive and enjoy the convenience of home vehicle delivery. Luxury is waiting. Experience it today at Jim Ellis Cadillac. Jim Ellis Cadillac, where you can always expect the best.
Jim Ellis, expect the best.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. Here are your headlines for Thursday, February 20th. A cold weather advisory is in effect until 10 a.m. for all of North Georgia. Temperatures are currently sitting in the teens and the 20s, but wind chills will feel as if we are in the single digits across northern Georgia. Atlanta-based Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 to every passenger on board a flight that crashed, landed in Toronto earlier this week. ABC News has learned and is reporting the flight, which left Minneapolis for Toronto, had 80 people on board and all were evacuated. Some 76 people and passengers and 4 crew members in total were on the flight. Georgia parents should get a little bit more help with child care costs under a bill that passed the state Senate on Wednesday. Senate Bill 89 would create a new child care income tax credit and expand some existing credits. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They're doing the 28th annual winter white sale right now. Save yourself $2,000 off of Carrier products at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. To do that, call 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com. Last conversation we had was about Russia and all the things that were going on, the peace deal that the Trump administration is trying to hammer out. And Tony is on the phone at 404-741-1230. Tony, what is on your mind? Understand you are an Army veteran. God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. My job was to go over on a equipment mission for the Georgian Air Force, the old Soviet Republic of Georgia. And when we were over there, I saw so many things. They had full-scale plywood models that they would roll out when the satellites would pass over. They built huge buildings over the birchwood trees. They didn't even cut them down. The joke was they were producing birchwood trees. So I'm telling you for a fact, you guys are hitting it on the head. I lived there 6 months at one time. I've spent a total of 4 years there and served with the Georgian Infantry Brigade in Iraq for a year. And there is no fear. They're not even a paper tiger. I was telling the screener, they don't even have the tiger part. They're all just paper.
Wow.
Thank you, Tony.
And he's referencing the Russians moving on Europe, which is what gets yelled and screamed all the time.
Yeah, the intel community and even people like Tony who have served over there will flat out tell you they don't have the equipment or the resources. They have the manpower. No doubt. The Russians always had the manpower. They don't have the equipment and the resources even as a nuclear power to march across Europe.
And here's the other thing. You bring up nuclear power as if that's and it is. I mean, it's the great equalizer for sure. But so do the French, and they're the most. You're talking about a paper tiger. Goodness gracious, the French.
But you would think a nuclear power,
yes,
like, oh, hey, their technology is top notch. It's the best in the world, right?
They're worried about servicing and maintaining those nuclear weapons as we speak.
Yes, the Russians, their equipment, according to all analysts out there and anyone who's been in the field, just as Tony told you from serving in Georgia, their equipment is outdated. So much of their stuff is archaic in comparison. Now, does that mean they can't beat, let's say, Nazi Germany? No, they could, because they had more people and they had the Russian winter and they had a lot of advantages where they just threw a crazy amount of manpower at them. And this is not to vilify the Russians. The Russians did their part in the 20th century to beat back fascism.
Yes, they did.
Like they did. They sacrificed a ton of people in order to beat back Nazi fascism. But if you think that somehow equates to marching across Europe, it's just not going to happen.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's no intel support and just like Buck Sexton said the other day,
I'm going to take Tony's word for it.
Me too, because
Tony's my intel guy now.
That's exactly right. Tony, thank you for your service. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling, and call anytime, my friend. 404-741-1230. For you, too, you listening right now. If you've got something you want to get off your chest, something you could add to the conversation, you're always welcome.
Or if you just want to make fun of the Air Force and go after Jarrah.
Jarrah.
Jarrah will be all upset at you.
Seriously. He might not be able to finish.
We had Hell Week. It was 1 week of PT. Warrior Week.
That's right. Where y'all actually lived in a tent. Because, look.
Listen to you.
Well, no, he said it. That was what he said. I was just regurgitating.
Lived in a tent.
No way. It's like, that's glamping is what that is. You know, that's when you pay. Isn't that what what Kim Kardashian, people like that do when they pay to go camping and they have everything set up when they get there?
I'm so glad I work with two military men. So much fun.
So it's hot.
Okay, 100 degrees. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
No doubt, it's hot.
The elements that they had to live through. Los? That's exactly right, man. Goodness. I mean, look, the Navy we're in the middle of the ocean, so it's probably not quite as pleasant, but that's the beauty of the Navy is you lob things in and not many people can shoot back at you. I mean, you keep
from falling overboard. There's a reason why the Navy tells you don't give up the ship.
That's right, absolutely, man. Because as long as we can stay afloat, we are in business. And I will say, when it comes to food, the lunch and dinner not great. Breakfast made to order in a Navy galley on the mess decks. Always, you get a fresh omelet made to order every morning if you were not on watch. So it was pretty good.
Jerry had a different experience. He was eating
at a 5-star hotel. He was eating steak and lobster and things. Because the Air Force, they allot so much of their budget for these things that we're talking about. The well-being of their airmen. I mean, they probably spend more on their airmen than any other branch spends on their service members. The Air Force is by far the best when it comes to taking care of their people.
If I may.
Which is great. I mean, who doesn't want that experience?
And I know that it might come across as sacrilegious, but there is a level of where the government goes, okay, these people scored better.
Yeah.
We're going to take care of them differently.
No, that's right. I mean, think about businesses, right?
What happens?
The smartest people, the managers, everybody, they get...
I don't get a lot of lobster.
No, me either.
There's other people that do get a lot of lobster.
Yeah. Yeah. Air Force.
By the way, Tug, as he's scrubbing a toilet,
dude,
he's thinking about your service.
Dude, I mean, I scrubbed so many toilets, man. I could have been the best janitor here at the Battery.
I got this.
There's nobody that can out scrub a toilet. But no. So sunshine, yeah, because it's already clean, but we need you to be doing something. Like I've cleaned toilets before. I have done that, so it's right there, right in line with what you're saying.
It's not gleaming.
Yeah, that's
Take
right.
care of that.
Yeah, when I walk in, if I don't hear that ding, the sparkle,
it's not like dentine.
That's right. You better.
It's not like your teeth.
That's right. You better scrub it again. I want to see that thing sparkle. So Delta Airlines has ticked me off a few times. If I recall correctly, they were involved in that whole thing with Coca-Cola with the MLB All-Star game, and I was irritated as all get out. Now, if you're flying, which I try not to as often as I can, if you're flying, Delta's the way to go. Is it more expensive? Yes. But do they do it right? Yes.
Yes.
They do.
It's all we try and fly whenever we fly.
So Delta CEO Ed Bastian, he was on with Gayle King, and Gayle was trying to get him to pin all the tragedies in some situations, but all the problems we've had with aircraft crashing and running into one another and turning upside down, trying to get him to blame Donald Trump for that and his cuts at the FAA. Ed Bastian didn't take the bait.
The Trump administration recently fired many employees of the FAA administration. Do those cuts worry you, and do you think that impacts the safety? I know you just said it's the safest way to travel, but after looking at all these mishaps, a lot of people are very nervous. Do these cuts affect you?
The cuts do not affect us, Gail. I've been in close communication with the Secretary of Transportation. I understand that the cuts at this time are something that are raising questions, but the reality is there's over 50,000 people that work at the FAA, and the cuts, I understand, were 300 people, and they were in non-critical safety functions. The Trump administration has committed to investing deeply in terms of improving the overall technologies that are used in the air traffic control systems and modernizing the skies. They've committed to hiring additional controllers and investigators and safety investigators. So no, I'm not concerned with that at all.
So we got rid of administrative people. We got rid of lawyers or whatever, attorneys. We didn't get rid of air traffic controllers. As a matter of fact, he said that I've spoken with the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, and we're working on hiring more. Maybe the 1,000 people that were qualified that the Obama administration and the Biden administration just pushed to the side because they didn't fit in the box that they wanted them to, maybe they'll call those folks.
I get it. It is cable network news, and you're trying to maintain an audience. You're trying to grow an audience. You're having an audience say, why is this thing happening? And the easiest thing when it comes to the CNNs or the MSNBCs of the world is trying to blame it on Donald Trump. When you get rid of DEI-related people, that does not affect the safety in the skies. In fact, I would argue that based on what we've seen when Elon Musk brought up what happens when you bring in DEI standards and suddenly your standards drop, we're now seeing a systematic effect on pilot training and those with experience. Now, we're going to find out eventually who the pilots were and what they were doing with this Canadian crash. If you find out that one of them is a relatively inexperienced pilot, will you not be surprised if they happen to be, I don't know, fitting some sort of DEI box check?
Well, there is rumor out there that it was an all-female crew, and the airline, which is, I guess, operated by Delta, but it's not called Delta. And
Endeavor.
Endeavor, there we go.
Yes.
And that is their focus, is DEI. I mean, that's their main focus. So, no, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know that that's true.
No.
I saw it populating all over social media. I didn't bring it as a story. I didn't really want to get into it. And won't.
Because we don't have anything
factually
based.
Because we don't know. There's no way to know that. But that was the rumor that was being churned yesterday and the day before.
Part of the rumors that are currently out there amongst the pilot community, this isn't Tug and Los and Jerry and JoJo getting into this stuff. Within that community, they're talking about a lack of experience from the pilot as far as license experience in terms of you're operating a jet aircraft, a commercial jet aircraft, yet you might have a limited amount of experience when it comes to the scenario that this person was presented. Now, I don't care if they're male or female or whatever.
Doesn't matter.
You're still talking about somebody who probably got a box checked because they needed a box checked, and it didn't matter about their level of experience.
And now, thankfully, 18 people injured and
nobody dead.
Yep. So you avoided the
catastrophic moment of like, oh my God, we just lost 60 people again.
Does it teach you a lesson though? And now, not that Trump already knows this, his administration already knows this. They're not trying to check boxes. They're trying to get the best people to do the jobs that are in front of them. But I hope at least somebody will go, you know what? maybe checking the boxes is not the greatest way of doing this. Maybe we should do some sort of merit-based.
Maybe the meritocracy was a better idea.
Maybe it is a good idea. Dre, what's up?
Whether it was wind shear or whatever else that they encountered, which we'll get more of this as the investigation continues, but what was it that you were lacking that you put a plane on the ground in a way that I've never seen that? And it's not like it's something new to land in Toronto.
No, definitely not. But if you've seen and listened, because I've listened to some of the air traffic control audio, and they even talk about it coming in hot. Like, it came down.
Hey, you're coming in way too hot.
Slow it down, man. What are you doing? And then it turns into disaster.
Like, do you realize how hard it is to break off the landing gear?
Seems like it'd be difficult.
Like, you have to come in so incredibly hot in order to break off the landing gear to have it force up back into the right wing and have the right wing peel off the aircraft.
I don't know how fast a plane is going when it lands. Does 115 miles an hour sound about right? 150 miles, somewhere in there. I don't know what the answer is. But the reason I bring it up is to your point about how hard it's already coming down and how durable those landing gear pieces have to be.
I did hear from, it was a pilot that Clay and Buck had on who had years of experience.
150 miles an hour, that's just a quick Google search.
He talked about doing 115 knots and that if suddenly you have wind shear and it goes to 110, well, then you'll drop. And so he was talking about maintaining your airspeed in order to do it. But it sounds like they came in way too hot based on just what the initial investigation is.
It's crazy, man. All of it's crazy. It's nuts. We'll probably find out, especially with a transparent government and administration now that we have. We'll probably find out the truth. I probably wouldn't have said that 6 months ago. Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hour, brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, 770-GET-HEAT, Wait, what? Wait. One more time. Say this again. Repeat this to me like I'm a child. The mayor of Los Angeles is investigating herself? Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Atlanta Braves held their first full squad workout yesterday in Cool Today Park down in Northport, Florida. Manager Brian Snicker held the team's first official team meeting of the year, setting expectations for spring training. The Braves will play their first game on Saturday against the Twins at 1:05. And the Atlanta Hawks take on the Orlando Magic tonight in State Farm Arena at 7. The Hawks will be without Larry Nance Jr. and Vic Krejci, with Trae Young listed as a game-time decision. And the Magic will not have Jalen Suggs. Atlanta sits a half a game behind Orlando for 7th in the Eastern Conference with a 26-29 record. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well, because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
When it comes to finding the perfect Chevrolet, why settle for anything less than the best?
At Jim Ellis Chevrolet, you'll find the largest selection of new and used Chevys in Georgia.
From the legendary Silverado to the family-friendly Equinox, Tahoe, and Suburban, and performance icons like the Corvette and Camaro, you'll find exactly what you need.
Right now, save $7,500 off MSRP on the 2025 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray 2 LT models. Don't just dream it. Drive home in America's sports car today.
And at Jim Ellis Chevrolet, buying a vehicle is hassle-free. No high-pressure sales, just a transparent transparent, customer-first approach that their finance experts will help secure you the best terms, making the purchase exciting and not stressful.
Plus, their factory-trained technicians are here to keep your Chevy running at its best with expert service and maintenance.
Shop in person on Peachtree Boulevard or online at JimEllisChevrolet.com and experience the difference.
Jim Ellis Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Offer applies to 2025 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray 2LT models. Example stock number CV5055. MSRP with add-on accessories is $88,704. After $7,500 in Jim Ellis discounts, sale price is $81,204. Excludes TABT and state taxes. Offer expires 2/28/25.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Vehicle. You're buying safety for your family, an investment that will hold its value, and something that will last a long time. You're buying trust. For a limited time, celebrate all the 2025 models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, now through March 31st. Whether you're looking to match your adventurous spirit with the 2025 Subaru Outback or lean on the reliability of the 2025 Subaru Forester, Subaru of Gwinnett has the perfect fit for your family. You'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek, and the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru of Gwinnett has been your hometown dealership for years, and we're proud to be here to help your family find a Subaru to love for years to come. And our award-winning service department is here to ensure you've always got someone to lean on and trust when you need us. Stop in for a test drive on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and meet our incredible staff, or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Wherever you are in Georgia, you can stream Extra 106.3 and crystal clear digital with the all-new Extra 106.3 app. Get Extra's live on-air stream in real time, or go back and listen to all your favorite shows, Neil Bortz, or original podcasts, no matter where you go. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Tug and Los on the Morning Xtra saying hello. Big country call out to new advertiser to Extra 106.3, and that is Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Got to go out there and get the car all cleaned up. We appreciate those guys coming on board. Marietta, see the this Canton Road location, Marietta Square, Powder Springs, Roswell Road. Gosh, McDonough. There's one in McDonough.
Yep, you're right. Powder Springs. I mean, all over.
around.
I mean, if you're in the listening area,
Rome.
Yeah,
Holcomb Bridge, Roswell.
This is going to work.
Dude, absolutely.
I'm very excited because considering that we are going to do the whole travel thing to Florida, this was on my agenda. I was like, I got to get the car cleaned up. And so at least now I have a reason. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
We love those guys. They do good work. We just got a text from Gary Miller, our friend who runs Rebel InfoSec, who's been an advertiser here on Extra 106.3, is sending us pictures of him in Air Force boot camp.
There he is. Look at that young man. All right.
I love it. And let me tell you, Gary's a badass too. So don't mistake the fact that that the guys in the Air Force can't handle their business, because he can. But he did say, hey, tell Jerry, that would be Jeray, our board op, who will be taking the place of our beloved Captain Goey Virgin River, who is taking over the Braves Radio Network. We've talked about that a little bit. But as he moves on, Jerry moves in. He says, tell Jerry, when I would get assigned to an Army or Marine unit, the Air Force would give me put me in a hotel and give me $100 a day per diem for non-standard living conditions.
It's like Jerry just laughing.
Seriously, they might get you near a tent. Yeah, that's right. It's hazard pay. That's right. You might actually stand near a tent.
Stay with these rascals.
See, dude. Gary is a bad man, too. I think some of the things he did in the Air Force are pretty impressive. I won't go into detail because I don't know what he's comfortable with me sharing.
Yeah.
So, but just an awesome dude. And if you need a company that will look after your internet security,
your cybersecurity issues or anything you have going on, Rebel InfoSec, them's the people to reach out to. They good.
Infosec.com. They've helped us out a few times with different things. This is something that when we talked about this earlier, we were talking about the lady that spoke in front of a group of people protesting in Washington, D.C. because her job had been cut. And the things she was saying almost sounded like a Saturday Night Live skit. I contend that this does too. I don't know how Democrats continually make themselves into Saturday Night Live skits, but Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, has decided she's going to investigate Los.
So we're now, a month, maybe 6 weeks removed from the wildfires?
Yeah.
And so Karen Bass, who did no media, in fact,
ran from media when people were asking her questions in the airport.
She would not answer any questions. She finally did a local interview with a Los Angeles news station. And the weird part about all of this is that I think she needed time to get her story straight.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know the story, the woman was in Ghana and she was attending a party. I would say maybe pleasure trip, enrichment trip, whatever it was. She decided that once the investigations kind of looked at her, she decided to tell a local news station that she plans on taking part in investigating herself as to how she ended up in Ghana.
We need to look at everything about the preparation and all of that for the fires, because I think when we evaluate that, we will find that although there were warnings that I frankly wasn't aware of, although there were warnings, I think our preparation wasn't what it typically is, meaning that before there's a major weather event, for example, last week when we knew we were going to get into the rains, you saw us come together and us talk about, get your sandbags, bring the K-rails out. That type of preparation didn't happen. If that had, I will tell you, Alex, I wouldn't have even gone to San Diego, let alone leave the country.
Karen Bass,
bullcrap,
spent the first part of that interview talking about how the administration, as if the Biden administration has sent her to Ghana.
Right.
She's like, I need to investigate this. Like, how did I end up in Ghana? I was like, you know how you ended up in Ghana.
You were part of the planning process that got you to Ghana. And the thing that I wrote down that when she was talking in that clip, she said, there were warnings that I didn't know about. Hang on. You're the mayor? And there's warnings that you don't know about. What are you doing? How can you not be abreast of what's happening in the community that you're in charge of? It doesn't seem like there would be a warning that would get by you. It seems like, you know how on your iPhone or probably Android phone too, you can flip off the notifications. Be like, I don't want to know about notifications from Facebook.
I want to be left alone for the day.
Left alone. That's right. You're telling me she was able to turn off the notifications for warnings for the city of Los Angeles that turned into one of the most catastrophic wildfires in the history of the state and maybe the country?
That started, by the way.
That's hard to believe, man. That's a bridge too far.
January 7th is when the initial warnings and the wildfire started, and they burned for quite a while. So it took until February 19th for her to comment on something that was 6 weeks old. She did zero media. She didn't appear. She didn't answer any questions. She took 6 weeks before she decided to get in front of people and to try and tell her side of the story.
Did anybody in that interview bother to push back whatsoever, or was it
Not
just
from what
a
I
usual
watched.
lapdog, I'm going to let you say what you say and we're not going to challenge you whatsoever?
She said she planned to investigate on how she ended up in Ghana.
You know how you ended up in Ghana, ma'am. I didn't do it.
It was called If I Did It.
Yeah, here's what I would have done.
Which was an analysis what he would do if he did.
He's so dumb. He's so dumb. And he did. OJ looked on every golf course. I saw him on golf courses all the time. The only thing I didn't see him with like a little magnifying glass, like, Inspector Cousteau or whatever the cartoon was?
I was talking to Pete about this, and you can always listen to Kimmer and Pete 3 to 6. We were on the golf course.
Great show.
And he started asking me about, hey, have you ever considered, like, we just kind of just throwing stuff back and forth, because him and I have a very similar sense of humor. Like, we both like what we do in the shadows. And by the way, Kimmer, you talked about Arrested Development. Okay, only my favorite TV show of all time, too, sir.
Did he not know it, or because I've never seen it?
He said if he was on his deathbed and he could only watch one show, that's one of them he would watch. I'm like, thank you. Okay. You and I both realize it's total complete greatness.
Cam, there you go.
But we started joking around with myself and Pete about, well, did you ever consider doing any stand-up? And I said, well, if I ever did, I would just tell my OJ story. Because when I worked in the previous building I was in, back when I worked over at the Zone, and he came in, that man was off the golf course, 3 sheets to the wind, drunk as a skunk, and proceeded to laugh over everything until my eyes and his eyes met, and I thought, this guy cut off 2 people's heads. And his eyes shifted into, this guy's thinking about how I cut off 2 people's heads.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I was like,
guilty.
It's over. It's time to get out of the studio.
Get me away from you.
Yeah. So, I had an OJ story.
Dude, I never met him, not on the phone. I mean, never. There was never any interaction.
He was, as a guy who's now passed on, and who I believe murdered 2 people.
And his estate sale is going, too. I don't know if you've seen that. They're auctioning off all kinds of his personal stuff.
That version of OJ, the public version, gregarious, friendly, everybody's best friend. You get why he was juice, because he walked into any room and made friends with everybody almost instantly. But there was another side to that. There's an opposite side to that pancake.
Yeah, the one that would cut 2 people's heads off.
Allegedly.
Well, no,
civilly.
Yeah, that's right. He was found guilty of civil in the civil trial. But
he somehow ended 2 lives in a civil trial.
Yeah. I'm not sure I buy that he was innocent. I don't think anybody buy it. Now, I know people defend him, but I don't believe that anybody thinks he's innocent.
You want to watch something, watch the Netflix one that came out a couple of weeks ago. His defense team did such a crazy job of convoluting the entire process of that trial that you can see where people said, okay, there's just enough here that I'm not sure, so I'm gonna say that he's innocent or he's not guilty.
Jim Jordan echoes the Morning Extra next on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
If you really want to make yourself ill, consider the way Democrats are fighting the Republicans tooth and nail with every weapon at their disposal to prevent Republicans from cutting government spending on any program anywhere, or from getting rid of bloated bureaucracies. Remember, it was the Democrats at their convention that said, we all belong to the government. The government is the only thing we all belong to. It's like belonging to a church, the church of big government. To Democrats, Capitol Hill is the Vatican. The House and Senate chambers on Capitol Hill are the chapels that the Democrats worship the God of government. Every religion, of course, needs a Bible. Yep, the Democrats have one. It's called the Federal Register. You know what? You can get a copy of it sometime at a library and read it. I don't know if it's published daily or weekly, but all too often. The Federal Register is where all new rules and regulations promulgated by the government are printed so that everybody will know what they must do and what they cannot do. There you go, kind of like a Bible. I swear Democrats would, if they could, put their hand on the Federal Register when they're sworn into office. It means a hell of a lot more to them than any Bible or Quran or Torah does. A Democrat politician's worth is measured by how many new laws he passes, how many new regulations he imposes on the American people and American businesses. A new rule is almost an orgasmic experience to a good Democrat. And eliminating regulations and reducing the size of government is sacrilegious. Sounds about right, doesn't it? Neil Bortz Extra 106.3.
Attention Warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Extra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
The Atlanta Braves giveaways for this season are here, and you don't want to miss this lineup. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcell Ozuna, presented by Delta, and a throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey giveaways presented by Coke, and a replica of Truist Park, perfect for your office. Visit Braves.com/promos to purchase your tickets today.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Down. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's from National Security Advisor Mike Waltz after Ukraine's leader had said that President Trump is living in a Russian disinformation space after the president blamed Ukraine for starting a war that began with Russia's invasion.
There's obviously a lot of frustration here.
And Waltz tells Fox this morning the U.S. is frustrated that Ukraine's not willing to make a deal with us, allowing American access to lucrative mineral resources.
And really become a partner in Ukraine's future in a way that's sustainable, but also would be, I think, the best security guarantee they could ever hope for, much more than another pallet of ammunition.
Waltz also says the U.S. is engaging with both Russia and Ukraine trying to end the war. Hamas released more hostages today, but they didn't walk away from Gaza. They're all dead.
The Ministry of Health says the remains have arrived at the Israeli National Center for Forensic Medicine for identification after hundreds of Israelis lined the road to pay their respects to the deceased, holding flags and singing. Crowds cheered on the Gaza side of the exchange as the 4 caskets were carried to the Red Cross.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. It's believed 3 of the 4 are a mother and her 2 young children. Senate Republicans plan a vote today to confirm Kash Patel as the new FBI director, overcoming Democrat objections that he's wrong for the job. As President Trump, with the help of the Department of Government Efficiency, slashes spending, more layoffs are coming, targeting federal probationary employees recently hired.
Today, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, expected to inform thousands of its workers their services no longer needed. There are reports the cuts could impact some 6,000 workers just as tax season gets underway.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. While Democrats challenge Doge and its leader Elon Musk in court as illegal and out of control, Musk is pushing that we send Americans checks, Doge dividends. President Trump says,
I love it. A 20% dividend, so to speak, for the money that we're saving.
America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless priced right. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Claim your new iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy by dialing pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
I wake up every morning with the Morning Xtra.
I don't know why you wouldn't. And we welcome you. You've probably been up a little while now, just like us. Either at the office already, headed out to the office. Maybe you're retired and chilling at home, just taking it all in. Concerned about what's happening in America. and glad that you have a president that cares about the country enough to do what it takes. We were talking about Chris Rock's special. This is what Donald Trump's doing, bringing the pain.
I just sent it the full 58 minutes over to JoJo, so he can go back in time to 1996. So you're going back quite a ways, Joe, but it'll help.
It's worth it. We finished that last segment of the last hour talking about O.J. Simpson and how charismatic he was, and how nobody in the initial thought he was guilty. We were all like, surely it can't be. This is too outrageous. It can't be.
O.J. was in Chicago. He didn't do anything.
That's right.
The juice didn't do anything, man.
No way. And then the more you learn, you're like, oh.
Then the chase.
The slow speed chase.
When I think we're like, okay, he did it.
Yeah. And everybody knows exactly where they were in that moment. I was at Textile Rubber Chemical Company in Dalton, Georgia. You were at Bennigan's.
I was in a Bennigan's in between baseball games. Watching the NBA Finals, by the way, and going, oh, we got to split this screen
Seriously,
here.
How do I get this? We need picture-in-picture back then.
That's right.
Get a little PIP on your remote control. Jerry, do you remember? You were young. 94. Okay, so yeah, it was a little before you. Okay.
I was a young teenager playing travel baseball, and I just remember we were at a Bennigan's. It was between games, like 14 years old, watching all this stuff play out and going, man, Nordberg might have done it.
Yeah. I was 16 or 17.
Because Naked Gun was like a big deal.
Huge.
Like that age.
Huge. I
totally knocked it out of the park.
Loved that movie. And those movies.
Yeah, the Farrelly brothers and everything they were doing,
Brilliant.
you were locked into it. And so, yeah, that was the moment. I remember like looking at my dad. I'm like, I think he killed his wife.
Yeah. Even as a youngster, you're like,
As a youngster, I'm like, why would you do what they're doing?
Why is he running off like that? If you got nothing to hide, why wouldn't you,
But yeah, that
surrender maybe a little
Netflix special, when they just get into, it seems like it was an open and shut case that they were basically alleging that LA County, the LAPD, tried to enhance the case, and that enhancing the case probably is what caused enough of the reaction from the jury to ask questions and then decide that, okay, we're letting this guy off.
I believe that.
That's what made a lot of sense when you went through the evidence and when they had the forensic pathologist who they put on the stand for days and days and days. And when he had so many inconsistencies with what he collected, it created enough of a window where you said maybe they didn't do this the way that they should have. Now, I believe he killed 2 people. But I can understand that when you're in it.
Yeah, when you're on the jury, you're looking at the evidence and you're saying, there is a element of doubt in my head, and if there is an element of doubt, then you can't convict.
They had a picture of the gate leading to Nicole Brown Simpson's home, and on the day of the murder, there's nothing on there. A couple days later, they have another picture, and there's blood on the gate, and it happened to have this one chemical that was a preservative. They're like, there's no way that this blood would have this much of a preservative, which sounds to me, again, as you're alleging by the Netflix special, that they decided to enhance their case a little bit.
Everybody understands or believes.
But they firmly believe he did it because all the evidence says he did it.
And most people believe that's the reason. The glove didn't fit. It was also planted by, what was the law?
So Mark Furman goes on to like this very illustrious career. That's the other part about that Netflix special. We're into the 9 o'clock hour. I love when we get into these sort of things. There were 3 investigators on this. He's the junior investigator. And all 3 of them have a different view of the case. And so they're not saying that he planted anything. But Furman was one of the guys who's like, guys, we're going about this the wrong way. And it created friction amongst all of them. So from the very start of the evening of when this murder occurs, this double murder, all 3 investigators are pulling different directions.
It is the ultimate way to mess up what should have been an open and shut case.
Yeah.
And they just didn't go with the facts. They had to convince people beyond.
Well, celebrity. It's celebrity and wealth. And so it had to become more than just open and shut. It had to be, we have to dominate this case in order to win it.
And in domination, or trying to dominate, they did exactly opposite and blew it.
Yeah, watch this.
Completely blew it.
If you're into that sort of stuff, Like, JoJo, did you see that on Netflix? Have you seen the 3-part special that just came out a couple of weeks ago?
It was a couple weeks. If it was a couple weeks ago, no. But I've seen multiple.
Get around to that one. That one is really good in terms of the breakdown of the evidence and the information that is part of it. Where that is the first time where I ever went, oh, like now I get why you had jurists sitting there saying that's hard to get out of your mind.
That's right. It causes
you showed
doubt.
me this picture
It
and then you
causes
showed me a different
reasonable
picture.
doubt.
Yes.
Right. There's no doubt about. And I learned something about Captain Goey Virgin River this morning that I didn't know. I didn't realize his obsession with O.J. Simpson. I had no idea. We've been working together how many? Almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. The whole thing just seems like such a spectacle to me.
It was.
For my birthday, this past birthday, my friend got me a framed newspaper copy of the LA Times the day after he was acquitted.
So weird. That's the strangest.
And I have it framed and hanging in my room.
That's the strangest thing in the world. And that evil laugh you just did is even more weird. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I got a Herschel Walker jersey.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
A little different
Yeah,
what they got going on.
I've never. You're the only one, so it's unique. If nothing else, it's unique, Joey.
Well, it's a joke, but it's also not a joke.
No, it's exactly right.
It's an obsession. That's fine.
Yeah, weird.
Some people are into Titanic. You're into the O.J. Simpson murder trial.
Another cool documentary is the 30 for 30, June 17th, 1994. Which goes through all the sports deals that were happening that day, including like the start of the World Cup in the U.S. for the first time, Arnold Palmer playing his last round in 94 U.S. Open, the Rangers celebrating their Stanley Cup win, NBA Finals, as you said, and Ken Griffey tying Babe Ruth's home run record.
Wow. And then there's O.J.
And then there's O.J.
It's so
you
funny.
weirdo. Such a weirdo.
Cackle.
I know, dude. It's so weird.
Who knew that? Like, mine is Aliens.
Yeah.
JoJo's happens to be O.J. Simpson murder trial.
Mine is music, I guess. It's the only thing I'm obsessed with. And if you want to tie it all back, Kurt Cobain, who died in 1994. Let's see, that would probably been a couple months before the whole O.J. thing came down. Today would have been his 54th birthday. How about that? Bringing it all back around.
Well, that's why it's better to burn out than fade away, right?
That's what they say. That's I read a book about Kurt Cobain. That was the title.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of those too. Man, 1994, I was a junior in high school. There was so much going on. I mean, it was a pretty glorious time to be alive.
Yeah.
I mean, you're living through, I guess you're always living through history, but I mean, like, incredible history that will be talked about for the remainder of time on Earth.
Yeah, summer of 94, I'm getting ready to go into high school. And it was just such a weird period of time where it seemed like everything was, and that's another part too. When I tried to explain what was happening during like AIDS, because the height of the AIDS epidemic was the mid-90s. So you're going into high school and all you really want is OJ to be okay, Kurt Cobain to get off of heroin and not get AIDS. You realize the weird combination here?
Yeah.
And maybe the Braves win a World Series.
Yes.
Like, you've got, like, the rundown of what you're trying to accomplish.
They did.
Yes. Like, I could just see, like, good, sweet, clean Jerry as he's growing up, and he's like,
Right.
I want the Braves to win. I want OJ to be okay. I don't want to get AIDS.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thinking of it, and I'm not trying to steal any bits or anything, but 1994, Nelson Mandela becomes the president of South Africa.
Stealing bits.
Forrest Gump came out in 94. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Speaking of AIDS.
Yes, that's right.
See, that's the time period.
I'm telling you, dude, there was so much going on. And Amazon was created in 1994.
Sold books.
Yeah, selling books. That's exactly right. There's so much. Dude, this one's for you because your obsession, one of your many obsessions, with serial killers, John Wayne Gacy executed.
Yeah.
1994.
That's when they got the Clown Prince. Took him out.
Michael Jackson married Lisa Marie Presley.
Which was weird, and to see them kiss on the MTV Video Music Awards.
Seems so forced and awkward.
Yes, like he really wasn't into it.
I never bought it. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis died that year. I mean, dude.
True, Jackie O. That was a national issue because of what she had been through in the 60s. Yeah.
Friends debuted. Nancy Kerrigan got whacked in the knee. All of that in 1994.
There was a lot,
It was
man.
a busy year.
It was just a whole lot of stuff going on.
Oh, wasn't the strike in 94?
Yes, we had the Major League Baseball strike. We didn't finish the season.
No.
Right. The Expos were leading the NL at the time, and the Braves were trying to chase them down, and then suddenly, packing it up. We're not doing any more baseball.
Goodness gracious, all that in 1994. You lived through it. We lived through it. A glorious time to be alive. Man, we're
been through some stuff.
We're fortunate, though. We're going. People will read about our lifetimes and I said this a minute ago. I know, but for the remainder of time, they will always read about the times that we're living through or have lived through.
So, over in Port St. Joe, Florida, as I head back mentally into this place, so the graduating class a couple of years ago, like you had to kind of surmise what your time was, and on their yearbook was hurricanes and pandemics. Because they'd been displaced, they'd been kept out of school, they'd lost time. To think that when we get a chance to sit in that rocking chair and go through some of the stuff that we get a chance to talk about history-wise, it'll be a pretty good story.
Absolutely, it will. 404-741-1230, something that hit you that we've left out, all coming. I don't even know how we got on the OJ topic, to be honest with you. How did we? No, that's
LA
right.
Mayor,
Yeah, that's
there we
right.
go.
There we go. That's
wow.
Yeah, that's right. That's what. Thank you for remembering. I would have never remembered that.
That was a spider web of going down all sorts of history.
Jim Jordan must be listening to the Morning Extra. That's the only thing I can figure. This has happened so many times, Lowe's, where we talk about things, and I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back. I'm not. But we work so hard. I feel like every day we work so hard to not give you the same thing that you'll see on Fox News, or not give you the same thing you'll see in the mainstream media and even other conservative outlets. We try to present it from a different point of view. And I was talking to a friend yesterday I had lunch with, and I brought up the Doge dividends, and he was like, "What? What is that?" We try to stay far ahead.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've done that.
Can I point something out?
Sure.
I think oftentimes we're trying to summarize a mentality of what is going on. And it's kind of like riding a bull. Like, it's hard to get your head around it at times. But I think that's one of the strengths of the show, is that there's something you feel, there's something I feel, we try and put it in words.
And then you have people like Tony calling in to add to the conversation. He called in last hour that just gives it even more texture, gives it even more depth. It peels back another layer of the onion. And at that point, we were talking about Russia not invading Europe, as the leftists would love to tell you is going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. You know it's not going to happen. Clay Buck knows it's not going to happen. And Tony, who served in Iraq, knows it's not going to happen. But we stay ahead, and that's our goal, is to continue to do that. But I want you to hear from Jim Jordan, because he's talking about this stupid spending that has to come to an end, the things that we've been talking about for months.
Democrats for now, 2 weeks have been saying instead of stopping the stupid spending, they attack the guy who's exposing the stupid spending. I think we should maybe get rid of the stupid spending. Trans comic opera in Ireland, Sesame Street on Iraqi television. I think maybe we should focus on that. No. Can't do that. And I think this just underscores the fundamental difference between the left and those of us in the Republican Party, those of us conservatives. The left thinks the bureaucrats are smarter than we the people. Got to trust the bureaucracy. Got to trust it. You got to trust the experts in the government.
No, you don't. And we don't.
This is what I like about Jim Jordan. One, obviously, he's a total fighter. He's a bulldog about this stuff. But he is highlighting something that is fundamental over the course of history. When a government becomes corrupt, one of the first things it does is it raids the piggy bank. We talked about crossing the Rubicon and Julius Caesar, and what was the first thing he did? He didn't march on the Senate in Rome. He went to the Treasury to go pay off everyone he needed to and to have the money so that he could basically install himself as a leader.
Do what he wanted to.
The bureaucracy has done the same thing. They have made sure that they have their tentacles in the piggy bank so they can take care of themselves and their friends. And that's what Jim Jordan's talking about. Every time when you hear they're spending, that means that the bureaucratic class, the ruling class, is getting rich. You might think, hey, they're spending $5 billion on this project, but there's money coming back. That's the nature of it. And every time they spend, they know they're going to get richer.
Of course they do. That's the money laundering we've talked about.
So Matt Gaetz talked about how they use Ukraine because Afghanistan, that piggy bank is now done.
And we'll just take one short example of the Sesame Street in Iraq, and it was was it $2 million? Huh? $25 million? What was
I think it was $20 million.
$20 million. That you're telling me to build a Sesame Street style show, you need $20 million. That is hard for me to believe. Somebody is getting their palms greased. They're taking, let's say it's $15 grand, $20 grand to do that show because we already have the blueprint. We know what PBS, we paid for PBS, we pay for it all the time. We know how to do it, we know how to implement it. It doesn't cost $20 million. Where's the rest of the money going? That's the whole point. Yeah, seriously, man.
That's right.
$20 million probably get him a nice house.
It's funny that as I do that on the Google machine, it has it at $20 million. Like that number stuck in our craw and sat in our brains.
So ridiculous.
For weeks that you would spend $20 million to create a Sesame Street for Iraq. And the best thing that anybody could come with up on the left and the communists was to say, well, it's about teaching values. They ain't interested in your values, brother.
They've told you for 1,000 years they don't care about your values.
They don't care about your values.
And they don't share them and don't want them. Now, if you're saying to me, we're going to spend 20 grand, which I think is a bad investment, but if you're saying this is so imperative, we're going to spend $20,000 to create Sesame Street so we can start kids young and introduce them to American values. Though I think it's a bad idea, at least I can reason with you. When you tell me it's $20 million, the door shuts because it doesn't add up.
If you want to tell me you're going to spend $1 million to ensure that Afghani girls get to go to school and get an education.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
All right. You know what? Makes some sense. That is nation building. That is the idea of international development.
I may have spoken too soon. I don't know. I'm willing to hear you out. That's probably the better.
I'm saying that maybe when you're educated, you're less likely to be involved in sort of the craziness that takes part in this world.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe worth my tax dollars. Let's talk about it. Sesame Street for
$20
Iraq.
million that don't cost $20 million. You're lying to me, and then you're peeing on my head, telling me it's raining.
I need Oscar the Grouch to pop out of that trash can and tell me about how Sharia law is the best thing to have.
Because that's most likely what was programmed. Because otherwise, they wouldn't allow it to take place. They wouldn't allow it on television to begin with. When we continue, J.D. Vance gave Europe an intervention, says one great Georgia leader. But is it too late for Europe? That's the question. Next on the Morning Extra.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
At Nelson Elder Care Law, we understand that family's everything. That's why we prioritize your family's future with personalized asset protection solutions. Call us today to schedule your legacy planning meeting and discover how our team can tailor our services to meet your family's unique needs, ensuring a secure and worry-free future. NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Real Success. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at ourrealsuccess.com.
Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses and acquiring rental properties right here in Atlanta? We're offering a handful of motivated individuals the opportunity to attend our workshop right here in Atlanta for free. That's right. We'll give you 2 free tickets when you text FLIP to 64,000. Atlanta is the perfect market to flip houses and build rental income. Discover the simple steps developed by Joe Arias, one of real estate's greatest rags to riches stories. You'll learn to flip properties and secure rental properties without using your own money and in your spare time. Don't miss this opportunity. Come to a complimentary live 2-hour workshop next week right here in Atlanta and learn how to start making money flipping homes and building long-term wealth with rental properties. To get 2 free tickets, text FLIP to 64,000. Text in the next 10 minutes and registrants will also receive a free copy of our Funding for Deals guide. Text FLIP to 64,000 for 2 complimentary tickets. Text FLIP to 64,000.
If the president reignites the economy, the price of one commodity, oil, could go way down and dramatically reduce everybody's cost of living. But do you know which commodity could soar in price? Silver. Because silver is an industrial metal. It's used in things like electronics, cell phones, TVs, computers. And if the economy booms, the demand for all of these products will boom right along with it. That's why Investing Haven predicts silver will test its former all-time high of $50 in 2025 and move higher to $77 by 2028. That's a 50% price increase and 140% higher in 3 years. If you want to learn more about rising silver prices ahead, call Lear Capital now at 800-889-3070 for your free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide. And when you call, you can also ask how to receive up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with qualifying purchase. 800-889-3070. Call them today. 800-889-3070.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. Here are your headlines for Thursday, February 20th. A cold weather advisory is in effect until 10 a.m. for all of North Georgia. Temperatures are currently sitting in the teens and the 20s, but wind chills will feel as if we are in the single digits across northern Georgia. Atlanta-based Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 to every passenger on board a flight that landed in Toronto earlier this week. ABC News has learned and is reporting the flight, which left Minneapolis for Toronto, had 80 people on board and all were evacuated. Some 76 people and passengers and 4 crew members in total were on the flight. Georgia parents should get a little bit more help with child care costs under a bill that passed the state Senate on Wednesday. Senate Bill 89 would create a new child care income tax credit and expand some existing credits. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors. They're like a boy band. Lance and Jason and Mike and Noah and Bradley.
Except they wear shirts when they work.
That's right. But yeah, because they're putting roofs on, siding on, whatever. They can do anything to the exterior of your home, take care of it.
You probably could, for if you were to say, how about we add a little bit more to this project, but y'all got to do it shirtless. I don't know. I'm not going to say they're going to say yes, but let's face it. Some people are willing to entertain certain things. Like, fine, I'll give you a little bit more of the shirt.
What if they don't take it completely off? Exactly.
One more button down.
And while you're at work, your wife just sits on the front porch with a lemonade and
watching the guys
watches.
work.
She just watch. She's like the supervisor.
Exactly. She's suddenly the project manager.
That's right. All of a sudden, because they're like a boy band, she's very interested in the siding project. When has never taken interest in the siding project before, or any other project in the house for that matter. They'll give you 10% off any job you do: windows, doors, siding, roof, deck. They'll build you a deck. They'll screen in a deck. That millwork stuff. They'll do it all. 10% off, or you can do 12 months, 0% financing. SouthernExteriors.co is their website. SouthernExteriors.co. Newt Gingrich is a legendary Georgia politician, a guy that I think has earned the respect of people across political boundaries. I think there's plenty of Democrats that respect Newt Gingrich. They may not agree with him, but they at least respect him. He said of J.D. Vance's speech at the Munich Security Conference that was an intervention on the European continent. And I agree that it was important to everything that he said, because he talked about the enemy within, shutting down free speech. That is what we have in common with Europe. And free speech is so important to freedom overall. You can't have any kind of freedom if you're not free to speak your mind. That's why it was the number one amendment. That's the First Amendment to the Constitution, freedom of speech. And the problem is, I don't have faith in the leftist governments of the EU to see the light. So though it may have been an intervention and it stirred them up, they're still talking about what J.D. Vance said. And so much so that they're like, well, maybe we need to create our own European army. That way we can defend ourselves in case the Americans don't come to our aid anymore. I just don't know that they have that willpower, because they don't have, first of all, they don't have a constitution to protect the rights that we do in America.
There's a multitude of factions in almost every European country. It's not just the Democrats or Republicans. There's a multitude of parties. But I think if there's one underlying issue that's going on, is that the people of so many of these European countries know that something is wrong. Much of it tied to immigration that they've allowed in the changing of their society. It's them versus the people in power. And the people in power, hey, we got to get rid of free speech. We've got to get rid of thought control. We can't have the masses massing and talking about these things, or else it ruins our power. It is a rival to them being able to stay in power. So that, to me, when J.D. Vance was talking, he wasn't talking to those European leaders. Like, he was pointing out what's going on. He was talking to the people of Europe that know there's something wrong.
That's exactly right, man. And just like the leftists in America, the people know it better than anybody else. They can feel it. Just like Los is saying, they can feel it. And that's what's happened. That's what actually happened in the United States back in November. The people felt it, and they were able to react. That's the problem that I fear for Europe, is they don't have any constitution or any document that people hold dear, that people adhere to protect them. They don't have that. They got monarchs. They got people that says, here is what you're going to do. You don't have a choice. Yes, I know we've let you speak before, but not any longer.
Well, it's a collection of negative rights. That is what's so different about the American experiment. Our foundations say that these are rights that cannot be violated. First and foremost, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the ability to bear arms, to keep arms. I mean, these are things that are fundamental rights that no matter what you try and do, these cannot be violated. That is not the same that is going on in Europe. They have negative rights. They have things that can be taken away. They have things that can be violated. There is no ability for them to say, I know I said this. Why did you show up at my door? Well, you memed something that we think's offensive. So that's totally foreign to us, whereas them, that's what they're dealing with.
And our people are being arrested. We played the audio of those German officials from the German government that said, yeah, of course, if you post a meme, we're going to come knock on your door and arrest you. And as a matter of fact, if you post it on the internet, we're going to punish you more severely because it lasts longer. If you say it out loud, you offend maybe one person. If you put it on the internet, it's there forever, so you have to be punished more. That's like blows my head off. I can't believe what I'm hearing.
For instance, on this radio show, we can talk about what has gone on in Afghanistan, what has gone on in Iraq, and the rampant amount of sexual abuse there is of young men, of boys. Now, You're not able to say that in Europe. You're not able to talk about how when you see these people wandering around with children, you're like, oh, it's their child. No, it's not their child.
Pakistani culture is what Los is referring to, and they're afraid to offend the Pakistanis that live in the UK to point out, hey, we can't allow these people to molest children. And the government cowers down.
They say, whoa, don't you say that. You might
out
offend them if you bring this up.
And from the American point of view, I think most Americans go, well, what about the kid? I mean, where does his rights begin and end?
We have so many of our soldiers who served overseas during the war on terror that were told, I know you got a problem with it, just don't say anything. Everybody has a problem with it, but that's their culture. Just don't say anything. Well, what happens when you bring that culture into areas of Europe and you're told your standards, your belief system is now out the window? Theirs is the one that now takes prevalence over this entire thing.
The people that decide everything for your country is siding with the 20%. If you want to bring it into our,
that
kind of
80,
our
20,
the 80, they're siding with, and it's probably even less than 20%. It's probably 10, but still they're siding with the 10%, and the people on the other side are going, this makes no sense. But Europeans are rejecting this, and you're seeing it.
The people are rejecting it. The power is not.
No. They're just like the snap elections in France. Remember a few months back, maybe 6 months ago, Emmanuel Macron, he was on the ropes. They thought they were going to get him out, and he called snap elections and was able to overcome the will of the people. And that's the thing. You can't do that in the United States. So, again, when you say it's foreign, you're like, how in the world do these people stay in power? They use their power to stay in power.
I know there's blue sky that's out there, as far as it's not even a rival. It's just an alternative to Twitter. And yet when you get on there, it doesn't take very long to find out that it is infested with pedophilia. That's part of the culture there. Imagine that you're in a society where you're saying, how do we import more pedophilia? How do we make it more mainstream? Now, we have fought back against that very stringently in this country when it comes to the story time hours and all the issues that go on. And for everyone that's like, there's not pedophilia. Well, why do these people keep being found with child porn?
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
So we've been able to defeat that. In Europe, that's not the case. So how long does it take for you to culturally rot when you allow something as disgusting as that, and any questioning of it is then brings the police around to wonder if you are saying things that are offensive?
Not very long, because it's been going on. And the funny thing is, it's just now getting some attention, because I feel like the rot's been happening for a really long time. We've just learned about it. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. We've just learned about it. And it's because of Twitter, because of X, that we've been able to learn about it. And people are saying, here's what's happened. They're waving their hands, and they're bringing it up to government officials, and the government officials keep hitting them on the head saying, don't you say a word.
Oh, they cover their eyes.
That's exactly right. And that's the thing. That's why I think America has a fighting chance, and we proved that in November, that we have a chance to fight back, because we do hold the Constitution in high regard. We trust that that's where our rights from our Creator, that's where they're reflected. We have that, and we can push back. They have nothing like that in Europe, and that's why I feel like America had a fighting chance and still does. And I don't know if Europe does, man. I don't know if that place is going to be salvageable. I see people rising up, but will it be enough? And has it gone too far? Do they have time?
The leftist communist globalists are afraid of what's happening here right now.
They despise it. That's why they had that emergency meeting in Paris after the J.D. Vance speech.
When the World Economic Forum last summer got together and talked about an upcoming Trump administration, they were talking about it out of fear. Like, how do we prepare for this? Because their standards by which they want to live are going to be challenged by this administration. And as they should. I don't think we want to live like the rest of the world wants to live. This is where I talk about the new right. The new right. The old right used to just be,
roll over. They would roll over.
Turn the other cheek.
Yep. Roll over.
Whatever. Not a big deal. As long as you're doing it on your own time, that's totally fine. Okay, there's parts of that we'll still adhere to. But we need to be ever vigilant and brutal towards the people that are looking to change society in ugly ways. We need to cast them out. We need to call them into question. We need to point out that they're sick, that they are sick in the head. and that as long as we can point out that they're demons in a lot of cases, then we're going to win the day. But you can't be afraid to be mean. These people deserve your scorn.
They certainly do. And you have to do it in your own country, too, which is what Donald Trump is doing. He's tearing down that bureaucracy, that same cancer, if you will, that America is suffering with. And you see the uprising, you see the pushback of the 20%, but the American people have been in support of it. The polling shows that. And I know polling is meant to influence, but when CBS does the polling, you know it's slanted against you, and it's still overwhelming that the American people support it. Don't let them dictate what you think or how you feel. Use your eyes and your ears, and that's why you won in November. Because otherwise, if you'd have listened to CNN, CBS, ABC, whomever, they would have taught you the wrong things. They would have convinced you of the wrong things.
Part of the reason why I love going over to Good Old Days, and by the way, does no bar get more plugs than Good Old Days on his radio program?
They owe us $1.
What's up, Forsyth County? Cat,
That's right.
pour one and get cold, ready to go in just a little while.
Y'all find owe us $1.
I think about it's the same thing that I get when I'm in small town Florida. The discussions in those places are common America. It's just regular America. And if you can have that discussion about the direction things are going, and we can all come to some sort of consensus sitting around having a beer, that's the way I think things are supposed to be.
Sure.
Because at that point, I'm not really concerned about what do you think of me? Are you judging me on that? It's just, here's what I think should happen. What do you guys think? And we just talk it out. That is the mentality that I believe is missing throughout Europe, and there's parts of America where people are so concerned about what will you think of me if I speak honestly.
I think that is
that PC culture that started in the 90s.
I think that is slowly dying a painful death because they are holding on to it as long as they can. Those are the people that are holding on to it, are the ones that are protesting. That's not everyday Americans like you and I, because we know this is the time to rip off the Band-Aid. I want to leave you with one more thing that Newt Gingrich said. He said, I hope President Vance's intervention at least starts European elites thinking about what they must do to revive their continent. And I think they'll fully reject it. Like Lo said, I think the people hear it. But the only place that I would disagree with Newt Gingrich, who I have incredible respect for, is those elites. They hate the idea of listening to the people. They hate the idea of freedom of speech. They hate all of it. And it makes me wonder what we have in common with Europe anymore. Because certainly freedom of speech should be the linchpin, and it's not. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Joe Biden, the punching bag. Talk about that next as we wrap up the Morning Extra on Thursday with flurries here at Truist Park, Battery Atlanta Dickey Broadcasting Company on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to Extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Atlanta Braves held their first full squad workout yesterday in Cool Today Park down in Northport, Florida. Manager Brian Snicker held the team's first official team meeting of the year, setting expectations for spring training. The Braves will play their first game on Saturday against the Twins at 1:05. And the Atlanta Hawks take on the Orlando Magic tonight in State Farm Arena at 7. The Hawks will be without Larry Nance Jr. and Vic Krejci, with Trae Young listed as a game-time decision. And the Magic will not have Jalen Suggs. Atlanta sits a half a game behind Orlando for 7th in the Eastern Conference with a 26-29 record. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Oh, it stops right there, but it starts right here. Thank you, JoJo. Let's talk about Kawasaki and Howard Brothers. Lawn season is around the corner. I know, it's cold. We got some flurries in the area. It's going to be a little bit nasty out there. But before you know it, spring's going to be right here. It's going to be warm, and your yard's going to take off. Do you have your equipment ready to go? No one wants their mower to stop halfway through cutting the lawn the very first time. That's why you go over to Howard Brothers. Trust Kawasaki genuine parts. Their quality parts make all the difference, whether you're gearing up for the busy season or just like tuning up some machines to make sure that you have them ready to go for peak performance. Kawasaki parts keep your engines running stronger and longer. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Kawasaki and with Howard Brothers.
There are crazies on the road. Who knows where they're all going, but if one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant. He is the lawyer that used to work for the insurance company. The team at Van Sant Law knows who to call, what to say, and will make sure you get what you deserve and what the insurance company doesn't want to pay for. They have your best interest at heart and will take care of everything. If you don't get paid, they don't get paid. My advice, save Van Sant Law in your phone. Today, 855-GA-INJURY, vansantlaw.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Just ask Mike Plant, President and CEO of the Braves Development Company.
I think back about 2003 when I started with the Braves and just knew we had to create a destination that people wanted to come to year-round. We had a blank canvas, and I think we had a pretty good feel for what would be a year-round destination, mixed-use development, lifestyle center, all those. Fortunately, we have this incredible relationship long-term with Georgia Power. Right away, they saw our vision, they got our vision, they understood it, and knew they needed to be a big part of that. So we're running our daily operation at the same time we're building this massive infrastructure and mixed-use development and the ballpark all at the same time.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit georgiapower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning would like to thank you for trusting them with your heating and air conditioning and home performance needs by throwing the 28th Annual Winter White Sale going on right now through the end of February. And you can save up to $2,000 because with carrier rebates, the best in the business, working with the best in the business at Central, you're guaranteed to get the best deals possible. And why is Central Heating and Air Conditioning the best? Well, they're one of the few locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947. And it's still that way today. Central Heating and Air Conditioning can fix what ails your house health and possibly your family's health with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speeds, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Central Heating and Air's 28th Annual Winter White Sale goes through the end of February. So check them out online at centralheat.com or call them at 770-GET-HEAT and turn to your Atlanta carrier expert.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
Keep up with all of our shows and the latest headlines by following Xtra 1063 on Instagram, X, Facebook, Truth Social, and all your social media platforms. Plus exclusive giveaways and more. So follow now at XTRA 1063.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra. Getting ready to wrap up the Thursday edition of the show. Thank you for being here, whether on the app, YouTube channel, or the old school way, 106.3 FM, 12:30 a.m. Old school is still good. Like, there's all kinds of things that are done the old-fashioned way that are still the best way and still a great way of doing things. So when I say old school, please don't take offense to that. That's not what I mean, because I love old school. I'm a fan of old school. I like the way things used to be and things when they were done the way that my parents and grandparents did them. Shoot, most of the time it's better that way. But I love the technology too. Don't get me wrong. It's however you're listening. Thank you. That's all.
You better stop messing with Kimmer, because I will punch you in the kisser.
Right. I'm gonna do better.
Because Kimmer, he alleged that when people are on the way up, they don't pay attention to old people. I'm like, I've been listening to you for years.
Yes, I have too. Absolutely.
It's my guy.
Love the Kimmer. Love the Kimmer show. Want you to listen to it from 3 until 6 with Flounder and Pete.
But if you make fun of old school one more time, I'm going to punch you in the kisser.
No, but I'm not making fun of old school, man.
Jerry, I'm going to punch him.
Yeah, punch you in the kisser. That's an old school one, too. Just saying it. I love it. Yeah.
Right in the kisser.
To the moon. So good. But I love that stuff, man, because that's what I grew up watching, reruns. Like, I don't know that my parents, aside from when I was very young and they watched like Dallas and Falcon Crest,
yeah,
I don't know that they watched a new show I don't remember them watching a new show. It was always reruns of their I Love Lucy. It was Sanford and Son, anything on TBS. So if you grew up watching TBS, it's any of those shows. Beverly Hillbillies, Munsters, Addams Family, Green Acres, all that stuff. But aside from Falcon Crest and Dallas, they just watched the stuff that they knew and they liked.
They weren't into Dynasty?
Yeah, I'm sure Dynasty was in there.
That was that run of all of those, the same shows, but just different settings.
Yeah, probably even more than Falcon Crest was.
Designing Women was big in my house.
Okay, all right. Maybe I don't recall them watching it. Mama probably did, and I was probably out playing or something.
Delta Burke was a big player in my home.
Yeah.
My mom felt that Delta Burke was one of the most funny people on TV.
Was that the one that was based in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Matlock
was a big player. Murder, She Wrote was a big player.
Ray Giudice knows the answer and has told me a million times. He was like, you realize that Matlock is based off of a lawyer from Rome, Georgia.
Well, this is where we now say that it's based off of Ray. Like early
Yes,
Ray.
that's right. Absolutely. It's actually the new Matlock. Because isn't there a
Based
new
off of
Matlock?
Ray. Yeah,
I think it's a
there's
woman.
new Matlock.
I think it's a woman, though.
Well,
It's Kathy Bates.
There we go.
So they changed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to tell everyone it's based on Big Play Ray Giudice.
But the problem is they're going to flip over and they'll see Kathy Bates and be like, wait, what?
Well, again, it's they changed it up a little bit. Yes. They made it female.
Absolutely. Same stories, though.
Right.
And Big Play Ray, man, dated Nancy Grace.
Yes.
Used to be on national television with regularity on her show. I think this is before they even dated. Like when there were stories, and I can't remember which one was so big that was based in Atlanta that Nancy brought him on, and that's what started their friendship, ultimate relationship, and then still very good friends to this day. But there was something happening here in Atlanta that he would go on to her show and be the legal expert, the legal advice, which started his media empire.
Do you know about WKRP in Cincinnati?
Sure, based on 94Q here in town.
Based off Quixie and Dixie.
Yeah, 94Q, right.
Wild.
Yeah, WQXI.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The old turkey. The old turkey.
To think about how many shows were based off of stuff that's going on around here.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That station ultimately turned, if I'm not mistaken, turned into Star 94. Later down the road, much longer down the road, but which is still a station, still this day. But gosh, man, we've been so fortunate to be acquainted with and work with so many incredible people here, and then to be able to engage with you. On the phones, on social media, out and about in town. Just meeting people. I told you I met a guy that listened to the show at Home Depot, and we just talked. We had to break our conversation because the man trying to check us out interrupted us. He interrupted our conversation wanting to ring up something. I'm like, sir, can you give us a moment?
We're having a moment here.
This is deep conversation. So, but anyway. And Los is out tomorrow too because you have something big going on. Your daughters are going to be playing some volleyball down in Orlando.
We'll be in Florida. Sunshine qualifier. If you're not amongst the volleyball world, that's okay. It's me and Stephanie at this point from ProLink.
Also a listener of the show.
Yes. So whenever you see us, conversing with Know It All Mom, that's who we're talking with. So this is our first qualifier. There are 92 teams in this. 2 of them, top 2 finishers, will get a bid to nationals. So, when you get to go to nationals, you've got to earn the bid. You don't just get to sign up and do it. And every year we've gone since my daughter's team was 11. This is our first crack at this one this year. We got to basically beat out 89 other teams, 90 other teams. What it comes down to.
What you don't know though is that Los's daughter's team have an automatic chip on the shoulder because they rank them very, very low. Out of the 96 team, they ranked them really low. And now these girls are like, wait a minute. We've beat some of these teams that are ranked above us.
So we're ranked 77th for this tournament. And if you go by the local regional rankings that are calculated up, we're actually the number 2 team in the region. There's our top team, our 14 top team is the number 1 team in the region. We're number 2. Yet, whenever these rankings came out, they decided to put us 77th. So we got some girls that are pissed.
Chomping at the bit.
Because what happens in these tournaments is that whenever you beat a higher ranked team, you take their ranking away from them. So the top we can take away is the 15th ranking, which means I'm assuming we're going to do it anyway. So that's on you, BCS Skyline. Y'all are going down.
Trouble coming y'all's way.
So by the time we get to Sunday, though, the top ranking we can have out of 92 teams of 15, we would like to have a top 5 ranking by the time we get to Monday. So we'll see how it plays. But I'm very excited. For any of you that are part of that volleyball community, hit me up at Front Office Los. Maybe we're in the same area. Have a drink, high five, watch each other's teams. It's always a cool thing to do.
It is a cool community. The sports community is a great. I would assume, like, because my son wasn't in band, but I think band communities are great. Cheerleading communities are great. Volleyball, baseball, football, basketball. These communities are so much fun. You gain so many new friends that become lifelong friends because your kids are together as much as they're with you.
One of my favorite things that happens at this tournament and then later in the summer, there are 2 sets of conventions that go on, Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, and they happen at the same time. There's the volleyball tournament, and there's also a dance/cheerleading tournament.
Yep.
So what happens is you have, in this case, there's going to be 14-year-old girls wearing sweats, covered in sweat, bruised, beaten up from diving all over the floor, and they'll be staring at other 14-year-old girls that are dolled up. And these groups look at each other like ships passing in the night, like the 2 weirdest things, like, look at those girls. And our girls are like, look at those girls. Because it couldn't be more different than what they're doing, but they're still involved in, obviously, athletic activity. But yes, and that's the other thing, too. The moms, the cheer moms who have to
They make
dress
TV shows after them.
exactly the same way as their daughters.
So weird.
That's a little bit out there.
It's a little weird.
Whereas our moms are kind of like, all right.
Yeah, they just kind of
like my wife made it a point. She bought herself a pair of gold Jordans.
Wow.
Okay.
That's fancy.
They're black and gold.
Okay.
And I'm like, so why'd you get those? She goes, it's Gold Bracket Sunday.
Come on.
So
I love that
whenever we get to Gold Bracket Sunday, she wears her gold Jordans. And she's not the only one. There's other moms that do the same thing.
But if you hadn't have told me why, I would have still said, I would probably not said it out loud. I'd have been like,
seems kind of different, right?
Maybe even a little tacky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, those don't sound like
why would I have these? Gold Bracket Sunday.
Give me some context and I'm in, dude. Who doesn't want to be in Gold Bracket on Sunday? Who doesn't want to have the gold medal at the Olympics or the competition?
That's the goal.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, out Friday and Monday, and I'll be back Tuesday with you boys.
Safe travels, my friend. And thank you for listening to the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. If you hear us talking about advertisers, please support them or at least give them the first opportunity to earn your business because they share your values, especially in the morning show here in the Morning Extra and the afternoon show with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. Those companies are local and are spending money to support a radio station that shares their values. We're not saying you buy anything you don't need. What we are saying is if you have a need and you hear them, go to them first. Give them the first chance to earn your business.
I'm going to put your head against their storefront. I'll make you buy this right now. You buy now.
I don't care if you don't need a roof. You go get a roof. Love it.
You tell Lance, unbutton that shirt. You buy that roof.
That's exactly right. All right, that'll do it for us. Y'all come back now, yeah?
If you love news and talk, you have to connect with the biggest personalities in the South at the Podcast